Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Am I muted? No, I'm not muted. Good evening, folks, and welcome to Alien Addict. Yes, I'm wearing the same shirt as last night because it's comfy, and it still smells of nothingness. So we're good. We're all gravy. We're in the game, and we're going to talk about the travesty that is the Travis Walton case, because recently it's lit my fire, but not in the sky. It's making me a little bit angry, a little bit sad, and I hope it's not true. Welcome, boys. How are we all on this luxurious evening? You're already saddened by it, Rich, yeah?
Since I've been talking about it, I haven't stopped crying. We always suspected it anyway, right? But this is really bad.
So, Rich, before we get... I watched your show, and not that one. Not wait.
Right.
But I did watch that one, though. But I watched that show with that guy you had on. I've forgotten the guy's name.
RAINE.
Who's been given a hell of a lot of hate on this subject of Travis Walton, and people are angry with him. But he brought up some compelling evidence. And I always thought this case was the one. I always thought, and I'm not saying I don't still think that, because I have not made my mind up at all.
Right.
But I looked at Travis's story and I thought, this is the greatest story with witnesses. All these guys, all singing off the same hymn page.
And it's interesting to look at this story and see that there are many different perspectives and angles to it. Now, of course, a lot of those angles, when they put together, form some sort of theory. And while we don't have a complete theory as to what happened to Travis in its entirety, there are some pretty convincing theories that are out there, at least in line of what we're talking about. The thing that bothers me the most are some of these peripheral elements, such as they had a contract that was ending in 5 days. And perhaps this is one way that they got out of it by, some sort of act of God was the only way to get an extension. There's these little peripheral things that sort of add up that really turn my eye when it comes to Travis Walton these days.
There's so much to go over, Ollie. I hope you have enough time. Seriously. And I'm still on the fence about it. I really don't know. Because when you listen to Travis talk about it when he was on Jimmy Church's show, man, does he still sound convincing, and the rebuttals he had, which weren't many. Jimmy kind of stayed away from the hard questions. I don't know, man. I had questions. I'm like, everything would have to work out perfectly if this was planned. Like, nobody else could have gotten out of the truck when Travis did. If somebody else got out of the truck to go with him to look at the UFO, it's over. They would have figured it out. And I'm like, well, if they saw it right there, how could it be the light tower 4 miles away? So, yeah, I have a lot of problems here.
Rich, for the newcomers to this recent news, can you kind of give us a brief background of what's been the evidence that's come to light, and just for the people that have just entered the show?
I can, yeah. Well, Mike Rogers came out and said that confessed to a hoax to producer Ryan Gordon in a recorded phone call on April 30th. I can get the recorded phone call for you if you'd like to hear it. But he did, and there's a transcript of it. A few days later, Mike had changed his mind and said the audio was manipulated, and then he came back and said it wasn't manipulated. He thought there was going to be a lawsuit, and then he changed it back to his original statement. There's Dwayne, which is the brother of Travis, who was said to have picked him up at the location when when Mike drove away with the other 5 guys. And that's how they were able to pull it off. Apparently, he stayed in this fire tower that was about 4 miles away or so, and he hung out there for 5 days. The evidence, I mean, we'll have to go over it because I'll be here for a good 2 minutes, 3 minutes talking about it. But Travis did fail the very first lie detector test and the very last one he took on that game show. So, but that one was covered up by the National Enquirer. And they didn't want the story to not be real because they were going to award them the winnings of having the best alien abduction case for National Enquirer. It was a contest they were having. So there's a lot of stuff that Mike Rogers went into, talked about, and explained. And I have a transcript of it, but, I can go over it a little bit here and there.
Yeah, definitely. But slightly just on that, the game show. We spoke about that months ago, and we even said back and forth with each other that this is obviously being done on purpose. Somebody's rigged that for it to actually fail because we believed Travis that much.
The funny thing is, you know why everybody else passed the lie detector test? Because they weren't in on the hoax. It was Mike, Dwayne, and Travis and the other person at the light tower. Apparently. See, that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of moving parts here. The person in the light tower never came forward, and the reason is because they, would lose their job and, people in the community and all that stuff. But Travis and his brother Mike were known for running around screaming UFO stories in the area. That's what they were known for, the UFO guys. So they had a history in the neighborhood of being these guys, who talked about seeing UFOs. It's really interesting.
Not to mention, what was the movie that came out, 2 weeks? Or I think it was on television. UFO incident? Just before his experience. There was a movie that came out just before it that actually was very reminiscent of what he described he went through. So again, another note of curiosity.
And Travis's story mimics almost to a T this other story, the Heinlein story, I think it's called. Hold on, let me pull it up here because it mimics it almost. The Heinlein heist, yeah, it's a guy named Robert A. Heinlein. So Travis's story of what took place aboard an alien craft has striking similarities, both in sequence of events and specific details. I mean, this is ripped right out of the book. So there was no flying saucer, only a lookout tower for fires. And the tale Travis returned to tell was so similar in detail to Heinlein's stories, it seems more likely it came from Heinlein's imagination himself. That's how unbelievable it is.
Are they saying that this UFO was the lookout tower, or the UFO?
Right. They are. I don't know.
How
That's
would these
the problem.
guys not be able to tell the difference between a lookout? So these guys go out doing the logging quite often. Yeah, they live in the area. They must have seen.
No, they don't.
Oh, they don't live in the area.
The other 5 guys don't live in the area. Just Travis and Mike. So they knew the back roads. They knew what roads to take to have that tower looking down upon them through the trees with the light on as if it was a beam of light shooting out. I mean, it was pretty... See, this is what I'm saying, guys. I mean, this has to work so perfectly in every detail. How could they have practiced it that much and got the light beam to shoot at Travis and all this other stuff? I don't know. But why would Mike do it? And I still don't know the answer to that. Why would Mike all of a sudden come out? But I'm going to have Ryan Gordon on Monday on my show to talk about it, the guy who broke the story. So we'll get those answers.
This is going to sound a little bit bad, but to fool all these people, apart from obviously the guy that's come out, that's him at the top, isn't it? Mike Rogers with the hat. Well, there's a few of them with a hat, but the guy at the top, I think that's the guy that we're talking about. The guy that's come out and said, I could be wrong on that. Yeah. to actually fool these people in the car and pull it off, and then pull it off for all these years, as bad as it is, it's genius.
I know.
You know,
If true.
yeah. And maybe if he actually came out and said, "Oh, you know what? I fooled the world," he'd make more money. He could get in a lot of trouble.
They
as
got
well.
paid $5,000 for that.
And back then, there was a real incentive for abductees and anybody who had a UFO story. It just was a sign of the times, and perhaps that was a motivating factor to create this. But as Rich is mentioning, there are a lot of moving parts that had to be executed perfectly, and not only in the moment, but to be able to cover that up in way of memory. You know, what if some of these guys that were involved that didn't know about the purported hoax, you know, came forward one day and said, you know what, as I started to recall this a little bit later in life, something was a little odd. Nobody has.
Because they really believe they saw a UFO. That's why.
But the thing
You're probably right about that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
they would go. They went back to that spot again, didn't they? You know, through either after the fact or after on television programs doing documentaries and things like that. Do you not think at one point one of them would have looked up and gone, "Hang on a second, that where we said we saw the UFO, there's a fire tower there."
No, because they went to right back then. You mean if they went back to the same spot, they would look?
Because
I know,
have had to have gone back.
but it's 4.5 miles away. But at night, through the trees, I mean, I don't buy it. I don't know, man.
But if these guys, like you said, they didn't live in the area. I mean, if someone took me out somewhere late at night and I saw something like this, and then I drove back to the area, and one of the guys actually said, well, "This is the area," I'd go, "Well, maybe it was." You know,
right? How would they know?
Would you know, Rich? Would you know if somebody drove you somewhere late at night, and you know?
They said there's a lot of similar places that look like that spot too, which is interesting. So, who knows?
And for anybody in the chat that thinks that we're just we're hating on the Travis Walton, the experience that he allegedly witnessed and he got abducted by aliens, we're not calling him a liar, but certain people are now, and we need to investigate this and find out what is going on. And I think, you know, and if we just lay back and just watch, you got to be in it to win it, boys.
You got to be critical about everything. It doesn't matter who you are. It's not personal. If you come up with a story, we need to corroborate it, or at least get some grounding there so that we can give you the validity that you may be seeking in presenting something like this. Even if it's an old case like Travis Walton. I mean, Christ, if Betty and Barney Hill were still around, I'd like to ask them some questions too. But, you know, we have what we have, especially in way of some of these retro cases. And Travis isn't getting any younger, and his lips aren't getting any more loose from what he's already said. Again, the phone call that, you know, Rich is talking about and referencing, this is very interesting. So if more can come out on that end, you know, we might be building a completely different case wherein, you know, the gravity leans towards one side of the spectrum more or less to the other.
I'd like to bring that phone call up in a bit, Rich, if you got it.
I'm getting it right here, yeah.
I am going to get Osvaldo Franco coming on because he's really into the Travis Walton case, and I have asked him to do a little bit of looking up, and it would be interesting to see if he's changed his tune on Travis. I think Wreaking Havoc's going to join us as well, and him and Oz love each other, which is
they what?
They love each other, him and Oz. Lee, you were saying before the show that you never believed him. You never believed Travis.
I didn't believe Travis after the Rogan interview. I was sort of uncommitted, I'd say, on him until then. But it didn't come across as a genuine person when he was on that podcast.
Why?
I don't know. It's just the feeling I got from him, the answers he was given. He seemed exceptionally nervous, which, I mean, Rogan's a big platform, but it's not like he's not been on big platforms before.
Right.
And Yeah, he just didn't. He didn't come across like he had the commitment of his own words, and
Yeah.
But saying that, look, I'm looking forward to listening to this transcript again, because when I listened to it earlier on before we did this show, that guy doesn't sound particularly genuine either. And there's a lot of well, I don't know how they made it look like that, but we're just there, and then we made the thing that was like the spaceship, and a little bit of me wonders whether that guy's thought, well, I can't really get anything else from being part of the Travis Walton story now, but it can be the guy that destroys it.
I have it
That's
ready
interesting.
whenever you want to hear it. So just let me know when.
Yeah, pop it up, Rich.
Go.
Oh, you have it right now. Okay. Now let me pull it up. In 5.
Nice and early in the show. Needs to be nice and early in the show. It keeps
I think
people's
so.
attention.
Right.
By the way, Rich, I'm not going to get into trouble for playing this, am I?
No,
Good.
I played it.
It's all right, Rich. That sounds like an Ollie problem. Let's go.
Yeah. That's what I thought.
We get an echo.
Oh, you see, that's a problem with StreamYard's having.
It's
We're all
gone.
having it. It's
Oh, no,
gone.
it's not.
Okay. Well, here we go.
All I can remember, is that we were talking in the woods one day, Travis and I, and I remember leaving a chainsaw on a stump. Okay, he had a saw, but he took his with him because we were talking about creating a UFO hoax. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know how the UFO got there. Okay. But I remember that when I was driving the truck and he jumped out, it was all deliberate. It was all a staged thing, okay?
Yeah.
And he ran up there, and there was something about the UFO not being real, although it looked real.
Well, basically, so
and of course,
what you're saying is,
What I want to say about that part, what he meant, what he said there. Hello?
Yeah.
It was, Travis said that it didn't look real, but it was. That's what he's talking about. It sounded weird, but when you see the transcript and read it, it makes sense. But to me, it sounds like he's lying. Be
It's
honest
the fact
with
he
you.
says okay after everything he says.
And he's stammering. He's stammering.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're recollecting this in some sort of clarity, especially if it's an event that you've been talking about or has been centered on you for years now, I would figure you'd have this pretty sharp when expressing it. Even if, if there was a sense of nervousness about him, okay, I understand that, but I don't get that either, Rich.
Couple more seconds here. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, at the beginning as well, he does the stereotypical thing where somebody that's not a very good liar tries to concoct a story because he says, "Oh, I remember we were there and there was an axe there, and then we were talking about faking a UFO incident." So
Yeah.
what he's done is tried to ground a lie in something really common, like I remember an axe, and then we talked about the fake UFO.
Yep.
Weird.
Yep.
Weird transition. You're right. That is good eye, good ear. All right, here we go. Just 30 more seconds.
you and Travis together hoaxed this.
yeah. I mean, Travis's brother Dwayne helped him.
I believe that.
Philip Plath actually suspected that Dwayne was part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, he was his protector, and he was saying weird things on that Fred Sylvanus interview. I have nothing. I don't fear at all for his life. I know where he's at.
I know, that
you
was
blah,
really-
blah, blah, you know.
That was really bizarre.
And I thought all along that he was just trying to how would you say it? Make himself believe that his brother was okay.
Yeah, that's what you had told me.
That's really it. And then they just talk about nonsensical stuff after that. So pretty interesting.
Why would it be now that he comes out and talks about this? There have been so many opportunities for him to come clean, and maybe there's a reason that I'm just not familiar with or I'm not seeing for him to do this. But why now?
Well, when I was speaking to Tyler about it last night, and I asked him, he said, "Well, the UFO, UFOs are the hot topic at the moment. Maybe this guy's coming out because he just wants to be relevant." But I mean, it just seems weird for somebody to come out after all these years, like you're saying, Dark Hour. It's. I mean, these guys are. Did they have? Do we know if they've had a fallout?
I think they did. Ollie, if you'd like, I can show people what the tower looks like.
Yes, please,
Yes.
Rich.
Here you go.
It looks square. I can't imagine how you're going to make that thing look rounded.
You'll see.
Okay.
So-
the windows.
Oh, that's an alien.
Yeah, but watch here. There, look at this. I mean, imagine that from 4 miles away. I don't get it, man. Maybe, but if they said they saw it above Travis, it's like, how does that come out to be above the dude? You know? And that's what they drew. I mean, does that look
Awful
like this
curious.
to you? It's similar.
It is similar, but
But
the
I
light,
think-
the bottom's not illuminated. And how are you? If they say he was hit, because that would mean the whole thing was him being hit by a beam of light. How do you do that from that tower?
Right.
I mean, unless there was a searchlight in it of some sort, which is
Oh,
I
high
suppose-
beam torch.
Well, I think it says it in here. Let me see here. Well, you guys are. It lit up. Really looks like the crew's description. This thing is beautiful. It was solid. Wow, this is what they said they saw. You could see window frames coming down from it, Steve Pierce said. And then there's a frame in the middle of it. It was like 2 cake pans on top of each other. It looks almost like that, right? Let me see. Kind of that thing in the middle would split it.
Would be the divider. Yep.
It was more or less sort of gold and white, and that's just what the panels, because it had a framework. The bottom of it was reflective. Well, you wouldn't be able to see that, I don't think. And it looked like metal underneath. It all made of metal and covered in shiny, clean glass.
What if Osvaldo Franco, welcome to the show, my friend.
Hey, what's up, fellas? How's everybody doing?
What's up,
What's up, Osvaldo?
Good
Welcome.
thing.
Ozzy, it looks like you're getting prepared and ready to launch your channel with that green screen
Yeah.
behind you.
Yeah, I got my Twitter up and I have my channel. I haven't posted anything yet, but yeah, it's gonna be next couple days.
Brilliant, mate.
Awesome.
Hey,
Fine.
Oz, have you looked over this this case of Travis? Well, the case, obviously you know about the case of Travis Walton, but have
yeah,
you?
I'm trying to give myself a crash course on the new allegations as best as I can in the last, maybe since you spoke to me yesterday.
I mean, are you seeing this that Rich is putting up on the screen now
Yeah,
with the tower?
yeah. To me, it's still a bit of a stretch for me. Now, this is the thing: the indiscrepancies to me, that could be interesting. We can check those out. We can verify that if those are real issues or not. This thing about the tower, though, it still seems to me like a bit of a stretch. Like it's the least
tough, man.
plausible, you know.
Yeah.
Of this whole thing, it's just a bit too much. And to me, it's reminiscent of when they tried to debunk Rendlesham Forest and they tried to use the lighthouse.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And then we had that. We went around in circles for years and years and years until somebody finally proved that it was impossible for it to be the lighthouse. You know.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Like this seems a bit strange. And then there's other factors involving the case. You know. I find like the heavy involvement of Phil Class very telling as well, and that there's more to this story that doesn't jive with this version of things at this point. You know, I haven't heard the Walton recording yet, which I really want to hear, and. This does merit investigation. We should see, but for right now, it doesn't seem like if this is what really happens. To me, there's flaws in the argument, but we'll see what happens.
Oz, when you say, and thank you for the super sticker, Elena, beautiful, and a very nice sticker indeed. You, when you say you have not seen the recording, and you talk about the recording that Rich just played, did you see that?
No, the one with Travis himself, I haven't heard. I heard the other one.
Right. So you've heard the one that's just been brought up, that where it is it? It's Mike speaking, isn't it? I'm right. It's Mike. His name's good old Mike.
Yeah.
That was Mike. Yeah. You've heard that one.
Yes. I have.
It's interesting what you were saying about Philip Class, because when I had you on, like, one of the first times, and you started going on about this guy being poisonous.
Yes, no, he's really just like, when all is said and done, and the history of this is out, and you can go to Area 51 with your kids, on a tour, and we can all have a laugh about this. We won't be laughing about that man. That man is pure evil. Like, he destroyed good people's lives to keep a terrible secret.
Out of curiosity, has anyone come across a case that was similar to Travis's, in where somebody was struck by a beam, not levitated into the light, but actually struck, forcefully thrown back?
No, it's common in abductions that you get hit.
That's
by,
common
in abduction cases. Yes, and physical abduction.
But to be thrown back like this, though, to be thrown back
he
like
didn't
this,
get,
it can happen, but from what my understanding is, not that force thing is unusual, but that's not completely unheard of in ufology. There are people that have had encounters with these literally invisible forces, like force fields or whatever. So I guess in theory, one could knock you over, but not specifically, no.
Also, Travis did not get lifted up in the air. He got pushed down from this thing. That everybody remembers the movie more than they remember the real story.
Yeah, and the real story, that didn't happen. That's something that was always added afterwards. Like they had left when Travis was on the ground, and when they came back, Travis was gone, and so was the object.
Yeah,
great bunch of friends.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great bunch of friends there. Anyway.
Dude, that's scary as fuck.
I got all the. If Osvaldo wants this and everybody else, I could put the link to what I'm looking at here in the chat room, because this gives you everything about the case. It's all right here. So I can do that for you guys here, and you guys can follow along. This is from 2015 with Ben Hansen on Sci-Fi. They went to the location.
But that's the other issue too. Like, if this is the case, that means Stanton Friedman did sloppy work. It means Richard Dolan did sloppy work. It means Ben Hansen, former FBI, did sloppy work. That's kind of like, that's also not like, that doesn't. If that happened, that's a major failure on behalf of UFO research.
That doesn't sit well with you, Oz.
No, I think I don't think that's the likelihood of that. There's a lot of people that would have to screw up pretty badly for that. However, it's not impossible. Again, we need to examine this. And I'd also like to see somebody try and reenact this thing. Because, honestly, to fake, listen, it's one thing to take some people into the forest and go and meditate and, throw flares out, and say, oh, look, there's an extraterrestrial, It's another thing to have this object that's supposed to have been pretty close to them, and to fake that. That's like in 1973. That's
tough.
Yeah, that's real.
That'd be very tough, Osvaldo. Yeah,
that's tough now. And especially with no budget. Like that. It would have been one thing if the government hired. Travis Walton to pitch a story for them because they wanted to create a UFO thing for some reason. That would have been one thing because the government has resources and all sorts of other stuff. This guy was 23-year-old redneck, logger. That's that's kind of that too is kind of odd.
Okay, but throw this one out there. So you said, I was there back in 1973. to fake something like that, it'd be so
yeah,
hard.
that's hard in 2021.
Yeah,
Like,
but now,
75.
okay, you fake something like that now, I think everybody would be like, that's a UFO. I'm going to stick around for that. Back then, I think people would shit themselves. So even if it's from a distance, and they made that thing remotely look like a UFO, they're all in the car. Maybe it's got a bit of glare coming through the windscreen or whatever. Travis gets out, he runs, and he looks at this thing, and this thing happens quite quickly, and then they all bolt off. I just wonder how much these guys. I would like to see all the guys speak about this. Are they all alive?
yes.
Two are
except for
dead.
one.
Two.
Okay.
No, two? All right.
Yeah, two passed away.
But how would they have orchestrated this exactly? Wherein, these guys that are going to be driving up there are going to look up their the window here in the car, and they're going to see what appears to be a UFO where this tower is, unless dress it up in some sort of prop. I think most people, if you saw something like that coming from a construct, your first thought isn't extraterrestrials, but they're reporting that they saw a craft. So if it was a hoax, I want to know how they orchestrated this, wherein the visuals were compelling and enough to, form an opinion right there in the moment. The reaction was what it was supposed to be. And next thing you know, Travis is laying in the woods on the ground all by himself for, stage 2. It's really hard for me to believe how they did that without any explanation.
Does anybody know if they were hunters?
Lee, just hold that thought 1 second. Osvaldo. A few people are saying in the chat that your audio is a little bit low. So if you wouldn't mind trying to get it up a bit, that's what she said. That'd be great.
Sure.
Lee, sorry, mate. I just noticed that somebody said Ozzy's a little bit low.
I was just going to say, if anybody knows if they were hunters as well. I mean, you talk about people that work.
Yeah, they're
in this
saying that
area.
there was, but who knows? Like, there's a discrepancy with that maybe there were, maybe there weren't.
No, but the thing is, if you're people that are working and living in these areas, I just don't believe that if you saw that in the sky or in the trees, I don't think you'd make that mistake. You can't tell me that they hadn't been in forests at nighttime or coming towards nighttime and seen the fire towers before. You can't tell me that if they're working in there, and especially if they're doing a dangerous job, that they wouldn't know where those points were anyway, because realistically, if something goes terribly wrong, they're your points of emergency contact. It doesn't make sense that people that would be embedded in that environment would make a mistake. And for these two people to do this trick, you have to guess what the actions of all those other people were. One of those people gets out of that car, that joke's it's over. It doesn't work then. And I don't. You couldn't predict that.
Yeah, no,
And
that had
what-
to come off perfectly. That's
Yeah.
like what are you, a magician? To do you understand? That's some type of David Copperfield type,
Yeah.
like trick. This is
And
not
usually
a
you're
simple
employing
thing.
cameras when it comes to that sort of illusion,
Yeah,
man.
exactly.
Yeah.
You're creating an actual optical illusion that works like that. I mean, if that were the case, how come Travis isn't like an Imagineer at Disney or something?
Well, you'd
why
have
isn't he
to- Oh, even if it was just lights coming from the fire tower, let's say there's no trickery involved. It's just a case of excuse me. It's just a case of having something there and fooling people into thinking it's something else.
Bless you.
Thank you. You'd have had to lay seeds all through the day. Otherwise, like you said before, you'd just go, "Oh, that's a light." You wouldn't instantly go to, "That's an alien trying to abduct Travis." So they'd have had to do those little things that you see, like people like what's his name, the British guy over here that does the mind tricks. What's his name?
David
Ollie, help
Blake.
me. No,
Darren Brown?
Oh,
Darren Brown.
Darren
yeah.
Brown.
Darren Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would have to be doing the little things that he does all the way, like building up to his tricks by embedding the idea and planting the seed of what's going to happen. You'd have had to be doing that probably a
Yeah,
week
I mean, like, it's
before.
like, does anybody have any reason to believe that Travis Walton is a world-class mentalist, in addition to, like, being a lumber?
Yeah.
Right.
Seems like he barely has a pulse sometimes. He's
Yeah,
very low
no, I
key.
don't, like-
He's low key.
Yeah, no, like he's like, yeah, we don't have guys like him in New York City,
Right. Yeah.
Very like different guy.
Introverted.
Though he's also very intelligent. I was actually, when I spent 2 days with him, and his buddy that he's having the falling out with right now.
Mike.
And Travis is really intelligent. The other guy, not so much. That's another thing that should be brought up.
But if when you're the intelligent one with a group of friends, it's quite easy to manipulate those friends.
Yeah, but I guess so. But like, dude, it would have like he didn't come like intelligent, yes, but not like Machiavellian, villainy did not, it did not come off of the guy either. There's somebody else, that I could mention. That's kind of like that, but that's another episode. But no, I don't know. There's too it's just there's too much with this new idea that it hasn't worked out yet. Like I said before, I would love to see somebody find a tower that is similar to that of that era, use technology from that era, and see if we could recreate that. See if that would be a convincing, hoaxed UFO, especially one that was supposedly up close. I really don't think that they just like this. It's too much. And how many miles away was that thing? Like, when the spotlight hit Travis from that many miles away, and it looked like an actual beam hit him from like 4 miles.
You'd need something like the old-fashioned, when you see like old-fashioned prison breaks, where the watchtower lights are on people. You'd need
but for
something
4 miles,
like that.
like there's
That's
something
what I
called
mean.
inverse square law. It's weird.
Yeah,
It's like, that doesn't-
no, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't.
I mean,
make
like,
sense.
unless they had a some type of magnifying glass, but you need one hell of a large one, and they probably have to go and have it made. So that's already expensive. So like how much of these guys, and honestly, the amounts of money that these guys are making, like, they would have to pay off a bunch of other people too. So like what is it? Everybody gets $200 at the end of the day. It's really not like for like shits and giggles, just to fool people. It doesn't make sense. And the thing is that a lot of trouble came out of this too for them. People like literally, like changed their names and moved away.
Yeah.
To try to hide from this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Which tends to be when people have real life UFO encounters, they tend to want to run screaming. They tend to want to.
Oh, go ahead.
That in my experience, they want to run screaming. It's not for everybody.
Just going back to the beam of light.
I was just going to say, they say it was probably a searchlight in the tower.
Okay, so if it was a searchlight, for it to hit him, Travis would have had to know exactly where to stand.
That's why if anybody else got out of the truck, it would have blown it. I don't buy it. I really don't think that it's fake. I'm telling you, I don't know, but there's so much here. And then I'm reading it, and the only person who seems to be changing their story is Mike. It's like this guy has it out for Travis, I think.
Yeah, no, like this is kind of, this is kind of, all of this is odd. All of this is odd, and the explanation is weird.
Yeah.
And honestly, this is not the first time that this guy was used to try to sabotage the story.
Right.
There's a history of this. In fact, there's correspondence between him and Class concerning this.
Yes. Yes.
So so we, and Class again is like to do just an episode on Philip Class and the types of shenanigans and chicanery that the UFO community has been historically victimized by. There's like we have enemies. We have real enemies. People like Class, people like what's his face, the guy from
Sure.
what's my name? His name is
Michael Sherman.
No, the other misinformation guy.
Richard Doty.
Yes, and that's not all, dude. Listen, intelligence agencies try to screw us. That sounds crazy, but it's true, and they've been playing, a lot of weird games, and in fact, it seems like they are continuing to do so. There's now rumors circulating that there are parts of the government that are still trying to fight these disclosure efforts, and that there is indeed there seems to be some type of civil war inside the intelligence agencies as to what to do about this. And perhaps this is a part of that. This is an odd time for this to start coming up. And again, the story, it's like that whole thing with the whole thing with the watchtower, it's like they're trying to put a sheet on a mattress that's too big, and the sheet is too small. It's really a stretch.
That's how I almost imagine.
Might be right about it.
A sheet, a massive sheet over the tower.
Yeah, it's just not going to fit. It just does not. You know what I'm saying? Unless they have more data, unless they can reenact that and pull it off, then I might say, well, you know what, and unless there's some real significant something in the indiscrepancies allegedly in the story, or unless there's something significant, this doesn't seem like that's that big of a deal.
What if you over illuminated the tower, so whoever's inside the tower, lights 1,000 candles? And well, not 1,000.
Yeah, but you
not
have
1,000 candles, but
you have to carry that, whatever it is. You have to carry up that tower, And then there's also the fact that if you stayed in that tower for 5 days, you mean that the people that were looking, there were a lot of people looking, and nobody thought about, let's go and check the watchtower. How about let's
where he was
go up
taken
to the watchtower and see if we can find Travis? That would be one of the first things I would do.
They didn't even use dogs to search for Travis, only in the movie, but not.
Okay, that's fine, but I'm talking about.
I'm just saying.
If you were
I know.
looking for a missing guy and you had a watchtower, you would climb the watchtower yourself to see if you could find the missing guy on the ground.
They never did.
Yes, they never did also.
Because Mike directed him away from that. He misled everybody as what happened.
That also, that's
it's bullcrap, because
a lot of common sense.
I know.
The forest, I don't know, but
you're right about it, because why don't the cops just do what they're supposed to do? Check
that's what I would do.
Right.
And unless they,
but at the same time,
and again, that would have to be a lot of people to be in on it, and then like that the $2,000 check just does, even in the 70s, doesn't go far enough for that.
But imagine how many people are keeping things silent, secret, and we still don't know about it. So secrets can be held. Usually usually there's a little threat that goes with it. If you're in the government, you can't say anything, you're going to lose all this, and you could get killed. But here it's just guys, it's just dudes, and people have emotions and relationships change, and for them to trust each other this much, I guess they had a big bond back then, but wouldn't they think it would turn around and bite him in the butt? I mean, nobody else but Mike is the problem here. And I think Mike has it out for him. That's what I really think. Reading everything here as we're talking, nothing makes sense to me. It's just ridiculous, nonsensical, sometimes unrealistic ways of things happening.
Okay, though,
but the fact is that they also come from a Mormon community. This tends not to be something that they're into.
My wife.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
As well,
but it's odd that the family that was questioned was so nonchalant about where Travis might be. I think even in one statement, I can't remember which family member had said it. They said something along the lines of, "He knows where he is. I know where he is. He's fine."
His mother.
What does that say to you?
There's one way to explain this possibly. Back in the day, all right. Travis Walton now talks about the fact that he's had other UFO experiences that were up close. What a lot of other people don't know is so did Betty and Barney Hill after the events of An Interrupted Journey. And the reason being that these things weren't discussed is because Hynek and some of the other guys that were involved did not want to bend credulity. They felt that they had already, like they were already trying to confront the public that, yeah, your government's lying about this. There's these little people, they're in these ships, they come down, they abduct people and they bring them back. The idea that this repeats would seem like too much for people, though obviously this is a scam, even though, like, you know, and this is a secret that was kept until the 80s, you know, until like Bud Hopkins and then eventually John Mack started, you know, bringing out the fact that this is, you know, a reoccurrent phenomenon and it's transgenerational. They say that Travis was always into UFOs and his family was into UFOs. Well, if Travis is indeed an experiencer and people that are actual physical experiencers, that one of the things that happens with all of those people is that it is a hereditary trait. There's no meditations, there's no app that's going to give this to you. It's a hereditary trait. It's passed down bloodlines. There's actually a DNA test that's actually being made that's going to come out at some point, where you can actually test for people that have these anomalies, or the people that, like, you know, or have a more likelihood of having these types of abduction experiences because of the genetic quirks. If Travis is, this makes perfect sense. Then Travis would have had other experiences, and his family would have known, and they would have probably been more like, you know, relax. They'll bring him back, because when this runs in families, that's how it's like.
Right. He'll be,
you know, and that's the thing. A lot of people don't talk about that because there's not a lot of people that have had these experiences. Yeah. Most of the people that say that they've had these experiences have not. Like I said, you know, and most of them that have, I tell you, try to run screaming from this in hopes that they can outrun it. And they always come back because there is no outrunning this.
Rich, do you have the other clip of the, I think it's the guy speaking, the movie guy?
I can get it. Actually, Erica Lukes is here in your chat, by the way. That's from her channel.
Oh, this is from Erica's channel?
Yeah. Well, no, that first one, I think. Let's see. It's from Orion Adventures, but it's okay to play it.
Okay, well, Erica, Rich will send me the link for this, and I will put it in the description. But if you wouldn't mind pinning that video in the chat so people can go subscribe to Erica and check out her work, that'd be great.
Yeah, give me a second to pull it up here.
So, yeah, the other guy, Ryan, is there a phone call, I believe, with him and Travis? Am I making that up?
I really don't know. There might be.
I'll tell you
that's my understanding.
Yeah,
I tell you what, on Erica's channel, and I'll get it here, there's 7 hours of this discussion where they talk about everything in detail. And of course, I'll have Ryan on Monday. But if you guys, you know, want to check it out after this, I'm sure you can hear it there if it is there. I don't know if there's a call with Travis. I know there's a couple of interviews with Travis talking about this, especially Jimmy Church.
Yep. What do you think, though? If you think back to the story and you think back to the time, 1975, and what Travis described when he boarded that craft about these little gray men in these little slick, like skinny bob-like suits, and then you get these classic Nordic greys that look like people they look like ABBA, yeah, they look like a 1970s band,
yeah.
And then he enters a room that has a device with buttons on it, you know, like a remote, almost like a remote control.
Actually, when I spoke to him, I try to get details out of people to see if I can, like, fish around and see if, like, something is a bit off or not. and I asked Travis about the controls at the chair, and I was like, was it touch screen or was it like switches? And he was like, no, it was buttons. And he said it's kind of old fashioned, but that's what it was. I'm quoting.
Yeah, but he says that now. But back then, was it old fashioned to describe buttons?
No, that was that was.
Do you know what I'm saying?
They had.
It was he basically described, and I'll say it again. He described an ABBA band. He described these Nordic blondes, and a chair with buttons on it. It's the one thing that was compelling about that, and was a bit ahead of its time, was kind of the fact that it was just see through. When he walked into that room. But
This is very concerning, his technology, because it sounds analog to me. And for some reason, we can find many accounts of people saying we were playing with technology that was vacuum tube centered, in which they were creating some quantum fields in respect to some of the material and technology they're using. I'm not going to cite some of the projects now; you guys can look them up. But that being said, let us not forget, was probably a human in some sort of space helmet suit that led him away after his freak out while he was on this craft. So to me, and I don't know how much this has actually been addressed, because when we look at Travis Walton, we automatically just say aliens. That's all it was. It sounds to me like something in line with one of those black projects wherein the extraterrestrials may have been working with us in some way, shape, or form. Maybe it wasn't just a species of extraterrestrials that was behind this. Maybe it was a whole government project. Very curious, though, that that technology sounds very bug to me.
They also could explain why they might have killed him. Like maybe that's part of the deal. Oh shit, we hurt one of them. Fuck. Now we got to take him back to the base to make sure he's not dead, because we have to honor our treaty. Catch and release.
Possibly.
Rich, shall I bring us back in the house? Are you playing? Are you putting something?
I am just dropping the link to Erica's thing.
Okay,
Erica's
I'll
channel.
I'll put us back in the game. Tell me if you want.
I didn't know if you. Yeah, I didn't know if you needed it anymore.
Yeah, well, keep it down below. So if you
sure
for us to see,
it's ready.
Do you know what I'm saying though? When it comes to, and I'm not just talking about the Travis case. I'm talking about a lot of people that talk about things way back when, UFOs they've seen, the shape of them. It always seems to be the shape of the UFO goes with the style of the generation. The story of Travis on the ship goes with the style of the 70s. It really does.
Well, yeah,
I find that very interesting.
At the same time, like, our technology constantly changes. Like a car from 1970 is not like a car from now, or a car from 10 years ago, or 10 years before that, or 10 years before that. I mean, the idea that their technology or designs should remain stagnant.
But their technology mirroring ours would be odd.
That too, unless we're ripping our stuff off of theirs.
See, that to me,
it's too easy of an explanation.
No, but as you guys know, I always think that there might be something more otherworldly than like nuts and bolts crafts about these things, and that would hint more towards the Elizondo saying demons thing, wouldn't it? Because if you had something that was interdimensional and, for want of better words, magic, then it could appear to us in a state that we would relate to more.
Well, it's like Asimov said, that any significant technology to a primitive people would look like magic. The same way, like if you could find a way to send a working TV set to ancient Rome, they would build a temple around it. They would worship it, until the Christians came and broke it.
Yeah, always the Nordic abductions as well never sit with me right. It's always like there's always some sort of like almost fantasy element to it, where you can imagine some drunk guy in a bar going, "Yeah, then I was abducted by a spaceship, and then there was like these 7 blonde girls there, and of course they all wanted to fuck me. And
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, no, that's that element of that too.
Do you not remember my Ronnie Dawson interview, Lee?
yes, dude.
I need to get that guy back on. He cracks me up. But maybe he's telling the truth, you know. Maybe Catwoman did try to. Maybe Catwoman really did turn his penis into a giant noodle, and procreate with him. Apparently, you know. But this is the thing. Ronnie Dawson, for example, you know, he's going out to conferences and he's doing talks and he's got a book about his noodle penis. His very long noodle penis that was changed into a long noodle to procreate with these aliens. I mean, you can't make this shit up. Well, you can, but you must be fucking bonkers.
Yeah,
His wife stands by him. His wife stands by him that he had an affair with Catwoman.
Listen, that's not unusual with ufology. I remember, like, this is like back in the 90s. We had this guy, and he was clearly mentally ill, and his wife would come with him on these in these meetings, and he, like, you know, it's very sad, but it's not unusual. They're like, you know, like sometimes two crazy people, you know, get together, or like there's other cases too. There was I remember there was this fat woman and this skinny gay dude, and they used to say that they were married and that they came from the underground city of Telos, you know, and inside of Mount Shasta, and they you know, and they like there's a lot of weird couples like in ufology. This isn't like, you know, all that unusual, unfortunately.
Like serial killers.
Yes. No,
serial
yeah,
killers always find each other. It's really weird.
Birds of a feather.
Well, you know, that's an interesting thing to think about, though. I mean, some of the supporting characters in these stories, if they're very close to the person, obviously they're biased. Number one, I mean, it's odd that she supports the idea that he had an affair with Catwoman. So clearly something happened there, but it may not be what they describe, and yet that's what they're, you know, putting forth as the actual event. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and say there aren't people out there that have some sort of imagination, and it's not necessarily to blame. Maybe there's, again, a reference, some trauma that happened. You know, there's a peeling over effect wherein they replace one memory for another. They then believe that false memory, so it becomes real to them. There may be instances like that, not necessarily even in its entirety, but, you know, in subcategories within these stories. Maybe there was one aspect that had to fit. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. So, you know, there is that element there at play, unfortunately. And, you know, as convincing as some of these people are, they are not everybody, but they have a charm to them. And, you know, with the right words and the sharp tongue, you know, you can pretty much convince a majority of people who aren't critically thinking about something and want something to believe very easily.
Oh, yes. No, the problem with ufology is that, like, the biggest problem with ufology, and a lot of the troubles that we have, is because of science's reluctance to actually deal with this. This is changing in the last couple of weeks. But the fact is listen, when there's a vacuum, it gets filled. Whenever you try to ban something or make something forbidden, you know, it still exists. And when you try to take, you know, a society away from that, people get sucked in. And the problem is a lot of the people who it takes up that space are usually bad people. It's like ufology has the same problem illegal drugs did, or alcohol during Prohibition. You know, you make something illegal, bad dudes go in there and they run it, and then they run, like, you know, and they can become very powerful and become big problems, you know, because they are running around unregulated. You know, there's nobody bringing, you know, like there's no rules, there's no regulations, and that's the same situation with ufology. They tried to ban it, and all these bad people came in, and and that's what we have now. We have a field that is 90% nonsense. 90%
That's
of
an
this stuff is
interesting perspective.
absolute nonsense. Pardon?
I said that's an interesting perspective. To
No,
see it play out that way, and you bring in the prohibition as a reference. It's interesting, man.
No, it's the same thing, and then that's how you get the mafias or the drug cartels, or basically unscrupulous individuals that are profiting off of other people's ignorance. When it's unnecessary. A little bit of science and fact will clear that up right quick. But good luck getting it.
Yeah.
After doing your show, where you had, sorry, I've forgotten the guy's name.
Scott Brown.
Yeah. After speaking to Scott, and I know you'd already spoke to him quite a little bit before that, but like me, you don't like to blow your load before you actually go on a show. So you kind of you saved everything for that show. He told you everything, and I saw your face. You looked like you were like, shit, the bed. Where's your head now in this?
I don't know. I'm still going to talk to Ryan Gordon, the director. He said that he wants just to talk to me privately, so he's not coming on Monday, but I'll reiterate what he tells me. Just no more. He doesn't want to do any more public appearances, I guess. But he does have to make some corrections on what Scott Brown had given me, so I don't know what those errors were.
Could you just let the people know who Ryan is, the film guy?
That's all I know. That's all I know is that he's a movie making guy.
So you're gonna find out more.
I'll find out more. But you asked me why I made my face and how I feel about now. Look, a lot of moving parts here would have to fall in perfectly for this to work. I really don't. My heart tells me that it's a lie, that it's not a hoax. I believe it really happened.
Yeah, I agree with Rich, 100%. It's not enough here for me to dissuade me at this point. Though, again, if they bring it, I'll give them credit for it. But at this point, it doesn't seem like this not enough. There's not enough here for the drama that has been brought up.
However, if you go to Erica Luke's channel and look at the interview, the most recent one with Ryan Gordon, he actually goes on location and everything, gets it all on video, so you can see the angles and everything.
Rich, if you send me the link to that, I will drop it in the description.
I already did. Oh, yeah, in the description. Okay, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, because I can't get it from the chat. What if this did get, and I don't know how it would get proven, because it's been years now, but if there was, the evidence was just so compelling that this was a hoax, the guy that it was in the tower risked, getting into a lot of shit, and he would get into a lot of shit. Am I right by saying that, Rich? If he actually did that because he works for, am I right? You were saying that because he works for the government, that he would get into a hell of a lot of bother for doing something like that.
You cut out on one part. You talking about Ryan?
No, I'm talking about the guy that if it was a hoax, the guy in the tower,
yeah,
that did this. Obviously, he works for the American government. That's
yeah, in the parks, all that stuff. Yeah,
he would get into a lot of bother. Yes.
Oh yeah.
My question is though, if it came out and people did admit to doing stuff, and it was so overwhelmingly, the evidence was just there, and it was like, what have you done? How bad would this affect the field of ufology?
It's as bad as it gets.
I disagree.
Yep.
I think that given the progress that we've made, it would be a drop in the bucket. And considering the stuff that is happening and the stuff that's about to hit, it's almost irrelevant. I think a lot of these old UFO cases, unless something like really major develops, will probably become anecdotal, in favor of bigger things that have much more solid proof behind
Well,
them.
well, let's hope the government and Lou and everybody actually brings evidence this time. So, as far as Travis and this, the reason I'm saying that is because a lot of people put their hearts and souls into this guy and backed him, and a lot of people would be really hurt. You know,
Major people.
Yeah.
Major people in ufology, authorities like Stanton Friedman, dude.
Yeah.
No less than Richard Dolan, no less than. You know,
Among
that's
others,
again, that's a lot of like people that aren't known for screwing up that bad, screwing up terribly all at the same time.
But there is another aspect to it, though, isn't there? Is that when you, in this field, even people you've got like a Dolan or a Stanton Friedman, there's a certain element when you're talking about things where there's very, very few facts and a lot of circumstantial evidence. There's a certain element of that becomes like a LARP to it, where you want it to be real. Do you know what I mean? It's more interesting that Travis Walton was abducted than it was for him to have just been underneath a lamp. And
it's a good story, though, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's a good story.
Believe it. Yeah. So I don't think it wouldn't so much be that these guys had massive fuck ups. It's just the fact that they wanted to believe. You know, that's the reason.
When you're a hard nosed science researcher, scientific researcher,
but you're a
scientist, a physicist.
But you're still a scientist researching pseudoscience at the end of the day. That's pseudoscience.
But
you only have what you've got.
The point is, you're supposed to know better. You're supposed to be more disciplined than that. You're not supposed to have your feelings.
But you've got no evidence
involved in that. That for them to have messed up like that, that's a fundamental failure.
But even talk about Stanton Friedman,
academic pride, though.
Yeah,
that's just academic pride that gets wounded. How much consequence is it really that
academic pride?
As I understand the significance,
can be a failure.
But look how controversial the MJ12 documents are. That's Stanton Friedman, the MJ12 stuff.
Yes,
I mean that splits everyone right down the middle, whether that's complete bullshit or the smoking gun.
Somewhat bullshit.
So, well, if you
but if you have a story
why didn't you fuck up on that?
in front of you, again, you guys got to look at what is in front of these people in way of research. They're going to do the best they can with whatever story they're presented with. So, something comes out that was tightly tucked around the corner, wherein it's almost seamless. You can't tell this person's lying, based on the research. Everything's really tight, but it was this one act that's being withheld, and all of a sudden comes out and just unspools everything. You can't feel like an idiot. You can only say, "Oh, I had what I had to go on. I researched it to the very best of my ability, whether it's scientifically or actually or whatever."
That depends on what it is.
Maybe we were all duped.
Michael,
that depends on what that bit is, though. That's because if it's something that should have been like obvious from go, then that's an issue.
Sorry, Michael, I don't know if you know this, but your connection is absolutely terrible. You keep looking like you're having a stroke. you keep having a stroke. And I'm sorry if anybody's had a stroke.
Fantastic.
But nope. It bro, your voice is breaking up a little bit sometimes. Is your internet connection good?
No, it sucks. Let me try something. I'll be right back. It's absolutely fucking dude. I'll be back.
It's good.
Oh, go ahead.
Is that interesting? His internet connection actually broke up the swear words there.
Yeah, that was perfect. Frickin' YouTube. Let's not forget about Travis real quick. He came back hydrated and healthy. Yes, the aliens could have even saved his life, right? Didn't people think he got maybe killed by that beam?
Yeah,
they don't know, but yeah. So I don't know, man. Gone for 5 days. They couldn't find him. There was no traces of him. So even if somebody took him to that tower, I mean, they would have seen tracks. People out there, all kinds of people out there looking for tracks and signs. Even if Mike was, pushing them away from it.
When somebody is missing, you check everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, this is basic common sense, and especially like these are people from the forest. You know what I'm saying? For us, it might be really, really hard to much harder to do that. But those people have experience with that.
But they
They're
didn't do
professionals who live
everything.
their lives there.
But they
Just
didn't
that-
do
that
everything.
Something this doesn't, like, then again, it could be incompetence on the part of the, maybe they had really a shitty police department over there. That happens too.
Was anyone arrested? Am I right in thinking that there was people looked into?
No.
Was that a different? Because there was an abduction, wasn't there, where somebody was looked into for murder until they turned up?
Not Travis.
I thought that was their side, so that's okay. It was,
That
it was just a thought.
that was in the film, wasn't it? In the film, it was like almost they was gonna get locked up.
Yeah,
right,
pretty
okay,
close.
and that's not real. That's not what happened in the story.
Well, no, I think
Yeah,
they
that's
would've
what
got-
happened.
They would have got locked up.
Well, you see, this is the thing. I'm thinking even if you're in on this joke or hoax, and if all of a sudden the police are looking into you, and you go, what the fuck would happen if something happened to Travis after we left him? I don't care how certain you are in the plan, you'd be there thinking, I could get locked away for murder here.
Oh yeah,
Well, they
especially
went
when one of
back.
these a 16-year-old boy who lied about his age to get to work,
Yeah.
who is now the guy who is an adult trying to cast aspersions on the story. I'm sorry, dude. Like, dude, that's the first person to crack is the kid.
Yeah.
Traditionally, that's the easiest nut to crack.
Oh, hang on. So the guy that's saying this is a hoax now, was he 16 years old at the time?
Yeah, he lied about his age to get
This is
work.
bullshit. Fuck it. Right, yeah, no, I'm not having that a 16-year-old kid could be the guy that was left there to carry the lie on his own.
Yeah, that's again. This doesn't make a whole lot. It's a crappy plan. And if it were, and then it worked out spectacularly, that bends credulity. It almost makes more sense that he just got abducted.
What if Travis is watching this now, going, "Yes, come on, you tell it, boys, tell it. That's it. You
He
stick
could
up for
be.
me."
He could be.
Yeah.
Well, he gave me my $200 out of the $2,700 check that he got. So,
Should have dropped a
I'm
tree on
just
that
shilling
kid
for
when I
it.
had the chance.
Again, though, there was so much in that film that was just. I mean, Travis said he was pissed off about the film.
oh yeah, no, because they totally pissed in the story. That's not what happened at all.
Yeah.
What happened to Travis was much more interesting, But to me at least, and I think that most people that know about it, is much more interesting, dude. He got taken to a base. He saw other ships parked in a base. He saw two different types of extraterrestrial. Instead, what they did was they took his story and they turned it into watered down Whitley Strieber alien rape porn.
Yeah, if I
It
had him,
nothing to do with anything.
if I had him on, I would ask him the question. I would say, if you were on, do you reckon if you'd have stayed on that table, you would have been probed?
Well, no, he was sitting up. He was lying on his back. If he was going to get probed, I imagine he'd be on the other side.
It's always about the probing, isn't it?
Well, that's
He's
where all
eating
the
it.
nutrients and all the waste goes. Everything you eat, of course, that's where they're going to.
Yeah,
go.
that's the story. That the aim of probe is to test pollution and nutrition.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not uncommon.
No, we do the same thing.
Yeah,
In fact, we pay a lot of money for the same shit.
yeah, same shit. Yeah, good choice of words.
Yeah.
No, but it is true. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think if Travis wasn't abducted, it would suck. But again, nobody checked the trees, right? Because the trees had abnormal growth. I guess they found out, right?
Yes, there's certain people that are trying to say no, but that's a huge dude. That's a huge, and just in that area.
Yeah,
And that's not the only, and that happens in other UFO cases in forests
many.
all over the world.
Yeah, right.
So that's another, that's typical of something, and that wasn't common knowledge in '73.
Right.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
also,
75,
what was it? What was it your boy was saying, Rich? I mean, I'm speaking like Lee now with your boy, your lad. What was it? Your lad that was saying, Scott? Is it Scott? Scott that came on the channel the other day?
Yeah.
Yeah. He said that these rings were being tested by amateurs, and also there was a convenient fire. And no, you said it was quite convenient. Isn't that convenient?
Yeah, there was a fire that destroyed a lot of the evidence of the trees.
No, but that was like a forest fire. It wasn't like a localized thing. Like
right. It
that's
was a forest
that's
fire.
a problem we're having in America quite a bit, actually.
Yeah,
So
I know, but
that's
unfortunately,
probably just happened because that happens.
Yeah,
you know, that
it
was going to
did.
happen anyway. People
Yeah,
don't want to.
eventually. Yeah. It is interesting. They can still test those trees if they're still there. So I don't know, man. Maybe I should go back up there and take somebody with me who can do that.
Well, there's
I don't
still
know.
supposedly samples. So, like, you know, they must have done something with the samples that they took from the initial stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like who was handling that? Was that Love and Good that was handling that?
I don't remember. That sounds familiar.
Rich, if you
It sounds
go
it sounds like a Love and Good
What?
thing. Love and Good was like the guy that was he passed away a few years ago, but he was like the guy that they probably would have sent that to.
if you go up there, you need to try and recreate that. See if you can get into one of those towers.
Wait a second. I forgot. I don't live in Arizona anymore.
Oh no, you don't, do you?
I'm thinking it's only 4 hours away. No, I can't go. Well, I can, but it would be expensive.
Rich ends up walking around Disneyland going, there's no way you could have faked this here.
Yeah.
I don't know if DarkHour can get back on. It must be.
He's getting there.
Is he getting there?
Yeah.
His connection was a little bit.
The thing about
Shit.
the trees is that if the UFO was hovering there, and this could debunk this whole thing, if somebody goes out there, that there's advanced growth on the inside of the bark. So if the UFO was in between trees, all the bark that was closest to the UFO would have grown twice as much out on one side, would have bored out on one side twice as much as it would the past 90 years combined. So there's evidence there. Yeah, and I think it is Living Good, or that guy you said. That was him. Yeah, that was him.
So that means that there's that definitely means that there's samples somewhere that like Love and Good was no joke. Like this was not like some dude that like, you know, far from a hobbyist. This was like the man.
Yeah.
Like your traditional scientist, that stuff is somewhere.
Yeah.
So even if we don't have even if it was burnt to a crisp and all that's left is the roots of the tree of that, somewhere there's samples, and we should be able to determine something from them.
Big time.
So David, I know you're watching this now. He spent some time with Travis. You are welcome to come on. I don't know if he will because he doesn't like to show his face.
Can still come on.
He's just, he didn't even have to have the camera on, but he spent quite a bit of time with. He actually got. Do you remember when I interviewed Ray Hernandez?
Yeah.
David hooked me up with Ray.
Cool.
So
he's here.
I should have asked Ray to come on.
Okay.
He probably would have done. But I can't remember what Ray said about Travis. I think he said he was an arsehole. I could be putting words into Ray's mouth then, but I don't know if he liked him or not. Or was that? Or was it David?
No, there are people that have had like there are stories about people having run-ins with him, but you know, people are strange, and honestly, like I don't know if Travis looked to be a celebrity necessarily. You know, like, you know, maybe like he says he wishes that this had never happened, and maybe he is resentful.
Yeah, I'm just looking at some stuff that David sent me now.
Michael, is he back?
Oh, is he back?
No. Let me see what's going on. He's got to be listening. Michael, if you're there, let me know what's up. It is a very touchy case right now. I feel sorry for Travis in a way, though, because the guy, it seems like every year somebody's coming after him. I don't know why.
Oh, he won't come on, but he's just shown me. Travis sent him his book, and it's all signed inside. And yeah, he spent some time with him, but I don't know if he liked him or not. I think I remember the interview that I had with David. He was saying that the guy's a little bit of an arsehole. He felt like that. I could be wrong. That might have been Ray that said that. I can't remember. I've slept since then. I mean, if you're telling a story over and 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 over, and you're thinking, I need to keep retelling this story, even though I know I'm telling the truth, maybe you might become a bit of an asshole. If you are telling the truth about and you are repeating yourself over and over again, it would start to, I think it'd start to grate on you a little bit.
I don't think so.
That depends on the person.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
If you're an intensely private person and you get drafted into this.
Okay. So if you had to tell your story over and over, say, you start to become, and I'm sure you will, and I hope you do, but you start to become extremely well known in the UFO community. You had a great sighting when you were a kid. If you started to tell that story over and over again, and everybody was everybody's just putting doubt on what you saw and telling you that you didn't see that, you blah blah blah, and they would question you constantly have to tell that story over and over again, would you not get a little bit pissed off?
Of course, it's called being a ufologist. It's like, it's not just your story, it's everybody's story. You get tired of repeating it over and over and over again, dude, I since I was a boy, dude, this happened. I remember the first time I got UFO fatigue. I was like 14, because I got sick of talking about the same old shit. I can imagine that could be even more of an issue of if you're like a celebrity, or I don't know if he's a celebrity, more like he's famous for the situation, and again, it depends on the temperament of the person, completely. Some people can do this, other people can't, and that, in fact, most people can't. I think that's one of the reasons why most people don't talk about their UFO experiences or
that's
UFO
a good
sightings.
point. Yeah, that's a good point. People being
not
around other
everybody
people.
wants, there's a lot more people that want to have this experience than have this experience and want to have this experience. A whole lot more. People would be like, "Wow, that happened to me. I would tell everybody." No, you wouldn't. Depends on what happened to you.
When I first met,
what happened to you.
Yeah, it does. And when I first met Travis, I got the impression he didn't want to be bothered, because we were at the Phoenix Lights event, whatever, and he just would look down if you made eye contact with him or turn away, because he can tell the look in people's eyes that they're coming to talk to him, and he's going to have to talk to them, for 20 minutes. Oh, you were the guy who was abducted. And then he's, yeah, obviously, I could get it. I mean, I could see it in his eyes.
It's the same story, the same questions, the same jokes.
Yeah.
Decade in, decade out.
Yeah, I understand it.
But that could be true of anything. I bet there's days Will Smith, he's being talked about, told how much people love Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Oh yeah.
Or name a celebrity.
So let's just analyze something here. Out of these guys that are next to my extremely attractive face, out of these guys here, the top guy is Mike. I'm pretty sure that is Mike. Yeah. These other guys, how long had they known Travis?
Well, I don't think they knew him that long, but they've worked together. But
how long had Mike known Travis?
They're best friends.
So
that's what I thought. Am I wrong on that?
Yeah,
they were best friends.
I think you're right.
They got. My recollection is that they all
I think he's right about that too.
They're work buddies. I think there's like one or two of them were lifelong, and we know Travis's brother was involved.
Dwayne.
Yeah, but I don't think I know that the guy with the criminal record was new.
Yeah, so
and they had troubles with him.
Yeah, that bit was true about the movie, and another thing that was true about the movie was that he was close to Mike.
Also, it was actually 7 people. It wasn't 5.
But okay, Mike Rogers, his brother Dwayne was a high school friend of Travis's. That's how they knew each other. Okay, I just read it. Yeah.
But the other guys, Rich, how long had he known them from?
How long have they known him?
Yeah, the other guys.
Steve Pierce was 17. He was only a few weeks with the crew.
Right.
John Willett, or Gwillette, however you say it, he was easygoing. It was Alan's sidekick, ex-Navy, so kind of new, but he knew Alan. Childhood friend of Mike's was Ken Peterson. He was a quiet guy. Alan Dallas, the guy who had the temper or whatever, he was on the crew since the summer, and he had a history of fighting, ex-Navy guy. And Dwayne Smith, John's friend from Phoenix, only 3 days on the crew. So, and then let's see, that's it. A couple of people knew each other. 3 of them did, and the other ones just got the job. So, not long. They didn't know Travis that long.
So out of the things that Scott Brown
all
said,
the more of a reason why that's not a coordinated effort.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, it wouldn't be. See, it's Mike, Dwayne, and Travis. Those 3 that put the hoax together, and the other 5 didn't know about it. That's why they all passed the lie detector test, because they didn't know. They just said what they saw. So that's the story we're being told.
So here's the thing here, though, with me right now that I can't seem to get out of my head. The one guy that is saying that this was a hoax is the guy that knew Travis the longest.
He knew Travis through his brother Dwayne. So he knew him the longest for a long time.
As Scott Brown was saying on your show, that these guys they'd done stuff together. They say at one point they were running through the forest, apparently from a UFO.
No, he was saying that Travis and Dwayne used to run around the forest making believe they were.
That's the one. Okay.
Chased by you. They were playing, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, kids do that, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's
every one of us
Right.
did that.
Right.
Yeah, I did too.
Everybody, if you were a little boy at any point,
okay,
in the 20th or 21st century, you ran around playing aliens.
Okay, but we
Every one of
can't
us.
we can't ignore that fact, though. The fact that this guy that Scott on Rich's show Hiccups said that Mike was telling them that they've been into UFOs for years. Now, what I want to see Travis speak about this and say Mike is doing this because X, Y, and Z or whatever, And
Exactly.
what
He's jealous.
What I want to see, Rich, because if someone was calling me out on something that I'd seen or something that all of us had witnessed, if I was Travis in this situation, I'd be saying, okay, let's arrange an interview. Let's speak together.
Dude, when you get called out on something,
You say it to my face. You say the shit to my
when
face.
you are innocent, you get pissed off. This I won't dignify this with a response.
Okay.
BS.
He was pissed. That's what he said.
Okay, if he's pissed, he needs to have it out with Mike.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree with
For
that.
the
Unless
world
there's
to
some
see,
legal reason,
for the world
you
to
can't do
see,
that.
Doesn't
for the
it?
world to see.
But isn't it interesting? It's not happening right now, and it should have already. And maybe it's because Mike's telling the truth and Travis doesn't. I'm just saying. I'm not saying it's true, but
that's exactly why we're doing this show, Rich. That is exactly why we're doing this show.
Devil's advocate right here.
yeah.
Yep.
So what if Travis doesn't want to talk to Mike because Mike's going to say stuff Travis doesn't want known, even though he's already saying it? But then we'll have to hear and see Travis react. So everybody's just going to make it. It'll make it worse. So Travis, I think, is smart. I mean, he went on another show and talked about it or two, but they should have it out together. That would be the ultimate. Get it out in the open. End of story.
Because if Mike is lying, Travis would destroy him within probably minutes of a show.
Right.
Especially if you got them in the same room. Somebody managed to get them both together, actually physically together, rather than over some sort of chat, Zoom, whatever people use these days. StreamYard that I'm using. StreamYard, you should sponsor me.
Well, you know what I'm thinking also? If that whole Watchtower story is true, where are all the thousands and thousands of false UFO cases where it turned out to be a Watchtower's light?
It's probably happened.
enforced all over the world.
It's
Wh-
not a
wh- wh-
very well-traveled road. This is a road they took.
No, but I mean,
that-
they have those everywhere in every forest all over the planet.
Oh,
There
right.
would be a pandemic of like, like it would be right up there with the planet Venus and swamp gas. With
Yeah,
alternative
but
explanations.
lighthouses and stuff, lighthouses have been mistaken, haven't they, for
Yeah.
UFOs? And
Yep.
I know
Yeah,
there's
but like like out at sea in fog, like far, far away.
Yeah,
With the
Well,
exception of that
I
time-
see what you're saying, Oswald. I have to agree with you on that. Again, if they did do something like this in the way of any convincing, they would have had to dress up that tower so that it wasn't a very familiar object once these guys saw it. You can't just rely on the state of panic to, convey whatever it is that they're trying to push forward. You'd have to give some sort of visual there too. Again, we're not talking about one person. We're talking about multiple people who were looking at this tower at least and thinking it was maybe something else.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's just it's too much. It's like it's too well conceived of a scam,
Right.
and from a guy that you
Mhm.
never heard of before and never heard about anything else again. Like this is just like I don't know. He doesn't remind me of that. Like, you remember Balloon Boy?
Yes.
Like that dad that pulled that scam, but
And the kid was
you know
hiding in the
years ago.
closet. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the type of guy that would pull something like that.
That's right.
Travis doesn't strike me as that type of guy. Perhaps I'm wrong. Like you can't tell. Some sociopaths are very stealthy, hide their tracks very well. At the same time, no, like I don't like just like it. Like
You believe
I don't
him,
know.
Oz?
Reenact it. Let's see what they got. If they have anything.
But Oz, are you right now? Are you are you still Team Travis? Travis is telling the truth.
Yeah, I think that. Listen, if that would happen, there would be a lot more of these stories where it just turned out to be a lighthouse or rather a watchtower. Like I'm saying, man, if it was that easy to fake UFOs, Stephen Greer would be doing it.
Isn't he? Oh, sorry.
Not from a watch, not to my knowledge. But then again, I'm not giving him $5,000 to go camping.
I think I know why Travis wouldn't do the interview with your man though, because if you've got them both sat there, and one of them saying I was abducted by aliens, and the other one saying no, we faked it, instantly the onus is on the abductee to prove that he's truthful, because the other story is based in reality. So if there's no evidence either way, you're going to go with the you obviously faked it, and the majority of people would do that. So I think that's why you won't get a face to face with them.
Yeah, and then it becomes religion. Either you believe or you don't, for your own reasons.
Faith, yeah.
Yeah.
I hate faith.
Out of all these guys, though, okay, and obviously if Mike's in on this, but out of all these guys, Travis got out of the car, but not one of them got out of that car.
Because Mike told him to stay in. Don't get out. Stay in. He knew. But the weird thing is Mike also turned the truck off when they pulled over. Travis jumped out when it was still rolling about 3 miles an hour, they think. They figured.
Would any of us get out of the car?
I would
Yes.
have. Yeah.
100%.
Without even listening to Mike, I would have gotten out.
Exactly. I would tell my friends, keep your camera on the object and get another one on me. I'm going to take point. My
Well, they
mother
wouldn't have had
understands.
cameras back then.
No, it's like,
Yeah. Where's my mic?
No.
Yeah.
Would they have had cameras though? If
No, but I'm saying, like, right now,
no. Listen, hear me out here. I mean, you think about it. They're all going out login. Does one of them just have one little camera? There's pictures of them. There's pictures of them logging.
yeah,
Tell you
but
what they
back
would have
then
had.
cameras were expensive, and and
No, but there is
they
pictures
weren't
of them.
easy to-
There's pictures of the team, and so one day they take the camera out with them. One day they take the camera out with them. They take pictures of each other doing the shit. Yeah, but that one day they just don't bring the camera out. I mean, probably didn't. They probably didn't bring the camera out because it probably wasn't a thing. Then why would we need a camera? We're just going to go to work. But there is pictures of them. I am right by this, I think, Rich. I'm
What do
probably
you mean?
making,
There's pictures of them.
there's pictures. There's a couple of pictures of. I don't know if there's a picture of them all together, but there is pictures of the. Or is there a picture of them all together? I
There
need to look
are,
at
but that was from the National Enquirer or the
After
media.
the fact.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just being a Billy bullshitter there, but that's fine.
Well, I don't know where you were going.
I
yet.
mean,
No,
dude,
no,
it's
all
more
I'm
likely
saying is- all I'm
these days
saying
to
is-
happen to have a camera like in your car.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
like, dude, if you had a
it
camera
is.
back in the day, you were either a professional photographer or a hobbyist.
Yeah.
There wasn't this, like, everybody taking pictures all the time thing that we have now.
But the
Right.
guy,
And people forget that. Like, I come from a family of people that are involved in
but don't you
that.
think the
So,
guy that's third from the top looks like a photographer? You know, like he's got an eye for it. I don't know. I'm
Right.
with Rich. I'm with Rich on this. I am so on the fence now with what's being presented because I want to see Travis call him out.
Well,
That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
right. You guys know the area where this was better than I would do. Would you have bears in that area?
I don't think at
Yes.
8,000 feet, but
no, there were bears.
There
there
actually.
were. Okay.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
in Snowflake, Arizona, just so people know.
So,
Travis,
but
spoke
even
about that.
if not bears, then would you have wild cats?
Bobcats.
Probably.
Yeah,
Yeah.
things
That's
like
the
that.
area
Fuck you up.
for
Yeah.
that type of stuff.
Yeah. So what you've got then, at least when they roll up in that car, is you've got 7 guys with axes and at least one firearm.
Right.
I don't believe with weapons that you just leave your friend. In
I
that
don't know about that,
situation.
man. I don't know
Don't
about
know.
that. Like, honestly, the default for most people when confronting this is terror.
Yeah,
There's there's something about this that terrifies people.
But that's the same
like even
thing, isn't it?
animals freak out when these beings show up.
I
You
don't
know,
mean to sound sexist here. I don't, but we are men, yeah. Okay.
Yes.
And when you're with the boys, do you leave one of the boys?
No.
You're saying that. Listen, you're not talking
But it was
about
fake.
you go to the pub and there's this hooligan that's causing trouble. There's this giant object that you were told your entire life could not exist, and there it is, like real, like that comes down and got your friend right in front of you. That's a bit different. That's a you'd be surprised.
Okay,
what
but
you
they
do.
they saw him fall to the ground.
Listen, there's 2 reactions to this: running in terror, or just being dumbfounded, just in shock, because you there's
who
one
was
thing
driving?
that Travis
Who
says.
Reactionary.
was driving?
Yeah.
Mike.
There's
was
something
driving?
that Travis. Hold on. There's something that Travis says. He says that I was looking at it and I didn't believe it. It didn't look real, but there it was.
Right.
That says it perfectly. That's what that type of experience is like.
Who's calling out as being a hoax? Mike. Yeah. Who was driving the car?
Mike Rogers.
So Mike Rogers is saying that it was all faked.
Yeah.
Mike Rogers was driving the car. So the
Yeah.
person who's saying it was all faked is the same person who had control to
the
make sure that Travis was left.
Right.
Okay. We got to think about that for a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is significant.
But
Unfortunately,
then, if you were doing that, if this is what you were going to do, you wouldn't have stopped the car at all. You wouldn't have, because you said that you turned the ignition off. If you were so desperate that you had to keep everybody in the vehicle,
Did he, or is that the film?
What was the question?
turning the ignition off.
Turn the ignition off. Did we
He
say
did turn it off.
Yeah.
Definitely did.
So
That's
there's
because they didn't want. So this way, Mike couldn't drive up to where the UFO was. That's what they said in that thing.
That doesn't make a lot of sense.
That's what Mike said. This way, I wasn't forced to drive over to Travis. I took off. That's why he turned it off. I know it doesn't make sense. That's what I'm saying. It's
but
weird.
he also gives the opportunity to let them get out of the car by turning the ignition off.
Yeah, I know.
If you wanted to keep people in the car, you keep
That's true.
the engine running, so you
Maybe
could
had
just
child
drive
locks.
away. Maybe he did have child locks.
They're low on gas, maybe.
Oh, I think they're both lying. I think they're just lying
So-
different ways.
So you think Travis was wanting to fake an abduction, but actually got abducted? No. You think they're both like, I can't comprehend them both lying. What's that mean, Lee? That's destroyed my brain.
I honestly think the most logical thing here is what Rich was talking about earlier, that Mike may have something out for Travis. I mean, it's much later on in life. Perhaps Mike has some sort of anger towards Travis because, the highlight of the story obviously came from Travis. He wrote the book. Mike was just this other, peripheral player, even though he was more central to the story. There could be a whole lot of motivation and maybe even just
He's also said that he
absolute
wishes
spite.
it had happened to him.
Yeah,
There
he
you
says
go.
He wished
So-
it happened
so there you go.
he can he could witness the aliens and everything. They really
Exactly
love
so.
aliens and UFOs.
Rich,
right.
could you play? Can you play the clip from what was? Is it Erica? Erica,
Yeah.
did you send me the link as well? Because I will put it in the.
I
description.
did. I put the link to the show, but not to. What do you want me to play?
Just the Mike speaking out about it.
Oh, let me pull it back up. Yeah.
And if you
Here
could,
it is.
if you could send it to me as well, so I can put it into the description
Sure.
with the name of her channel.
Sure, mate.
Thank you, mate.
Mate.
Did you hear me say mate to you today in my message? I actually used it correctly. It just came out. I don't know how it happened. I was
You sounded like me before you know it, Rich.
What was that, Michael?
Said you'll be sounding like me, mate, before you realize it. And
That's all
I'm
right.
supposed to be using that word.
You're a good bloke.
So glad I got you all speaking.
It's a good word.
Bit of,
It is.
I've adopted it.
Bit of matage.
All right, I'm going to give you the link yourself here. Here you go. To Alien Addict. There it is. And the gush. All
So
over
the-
your Facebook Messenger. Huh?
So guys, oh shit, the echo. Just pause it a second. I've just muted it a second, Rich. So go check out. What's the channel called?
It's UFO. Erica Lukes is.
I will go subscribe as myself.
It is UFO Classified with Erica Lukes. That's ERICALUKES. UFO Classified.
Okay, I've got all that. I'm going to put that into the description.
Very, very, very good show. She does a really good podcast, by the way. I always liked Erica Lukes. Always.
Have you interviewed her?
No, I don't know why I haven't.
Should get her on, mate.
Yeah, good idea. Do you know, I think it was her husband worked at Skinwalker Ranch and was talking
I thought you were going to say it was her husband, that why she hasn't been on. He got jealous and said, "No, you're not going to Rich's show. He's too handsome."
No,
Go on,
not.
sorry, what are you saying?
But he was one of the guys that came out and was talking about all the issues that he's had with being at Skinwalker. I don't know. I think he got health issues, but then also said it wasn't real or something. I don't know. She had a really good coming out party with that story. I don't know. Does anybody know about that? I can't remember a year ago, but.
First ever.
All right. Well, then let's forget it and just ask her. All right. You want me to play this thing?
Yes, mate. I can't save put the link in the description. I'll put it in after the show.
I'll put
it
the
will
link.
be in. No,
Yeah.
yeah, put it in the chat. But in fact, I'll put it in the chat. There you go. Boom.
Here's the link, everybody, to the conversation. You could also click on the link. Oh, this link doesn't take you to Erica Lukes. This is the link to Orion Adventures, the Travis Walton call.
Ah.
All right, here we go. I mean, sorry, Mike Rogers' call. So there's the link to
Where's
that.
the
All right.
Travis call?
I'm gonna
Well, there
unmute-
isn't one.
So that's not true then. They're because I've heard that there was a call, a recording of a call with Travis.
Oh, I didn't know. Well, maybe
with,
it's in.
with Ryan, I believe.
Well, maybe
where-
it's in
where-
the 8 hours here.
Where Travis, like, I could be wrong, but it was almost like I heard that Travis tried to make out that he didn't know who he was speaking to.
Yes, I heard the same thing, but I didn't hear
okay.
the recording of this. So
Okay,
you're
guys,
not making that up.
just put yourself on mute through this because we can't speak because we get an echo because StreamYard doesn't let us. It doesn't let me and Rich know how to operate its software. So I'll put myself on mute, but here we go.
I'm muted.
Hit it, Rich.
All I can remember, is that we were talking in the woods one day, Travis and I, and I remember leaving a chainsaw on the stump. Okay, he had a saw, but he took his with him because we were talking about creating a UFO hoax. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know how the UFO got there. Okay. But I remember that when I was driving the truck and he jumped out, it was all deliberate. It was all a staged thing. Okay.
Yeah.
And he ran up there, and there was something about the UFO not being real, although it looked real.
Well, basically, so
and of course,
what you're saying is, you and Travis together hoaxed this.
yeah. I mean, Travis's brother Dwayne helped him.
I believe that.
Philip Plass actually suspected that Dwayne was part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, he was his protector, and he was saying weird things on that Fred Sylvanus interview. I have nothing. I don't fear at all for his life. I know where he's at.
I know that
you know,
was
blah,
really
blah, blah, you know.
that was really bizarre.
And I thought all along that he was just trying to how would you say it? Make himself believe that his brother was okay.
Yeah, that's what you had told me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, if let's say today you could walk me through the entire thing of how and why and blah blah blah, how the process would work. Just so you're aware, how the process would work is, I would
let's
put.
Let's go out for the site, you know, and let's have dinner and all that stuff, you know, because I definitely need.
Well,
to
we
talk
can
about
we can
this.
have dinner.
That's it. That's
Take me-
enough.
I wish someone would take me for dinner. This it doesn't explain anything that though. When now I got excited the first time I heard that. After listening to it 3 times, all he says is about Travis potentially doing a hoax, and thinks that Travis's brother was in on it, and he doesn't know how the UFO got there.
Right.
But it doesn't explain that he's in on it. He's almost like he's stopped and drove, and he just drove off. Am I right or am I wrong there? Because it doesn't say that he was in on that. It just says he heard the rumor that Travis was going to do a hoax.
No, he didn't. In what's the word I'm looking for? Well, he didn't involve himself in the story direct, though it's implied. It's still very strange that he went from, I remember there was a chainsaw. I don't know how the UFO got there. Again, his memory is so spotted when it comes to something like this. If it was an elaborate setup, you remember some of these details, considering it's probably been front face in way of a story for the entirety of your life since that event occurred. I think you'd remember more. Unless there's something going on with him medically, there's no reason he should be stammering the way he is, skipping around with detail, and not giving us really anything in the words that he's saying other than an accusation.
Just doesn't sit right, does it?
Nope.
Lee,
It seems
you,
vindictive.
you sat calmly there, and it looks like you were thinking very deeply when you were listening to that.
He doesn't sound like he's telling the truth. And like you say, it's when he turns around and says the UFO wasn't real, but it looked real, but he doesn't seem to know what it was. You know, if it was the fire tower thing, he'd have said that then. You know, he'd have said the fire tower.
It could have been the fire tower.
Yeah, or he'd have singled it out. He'd have said the fire tower was there. That's what Travis thought was the UFO.
Here I'm reading that Travis was sick all day and stayed in the truck, and Mike was gone for 2 hours down the mountain working, probably plotting together. So they were out of sight of the crew for a couple of hours.
See, that's sexy. That
it just gets better and better.
So they took a giant magnifying glass, strapped it to their back, climbed up the tower, installed it.
It was dark, and they probably set it up before when nobody was around. They probably drove down there and said, "Okay, you stand here. Hey, 4 miles away, shine the light now." You know, it's like, I don't get it either. It's a little wild, but it was
4 miles away for that thing to hit him like a beam.
I know.
That's just like it's called inverse square law. That just light does not work that way unless you're dealing with a UFO. In which case, there's weird properties of light.
It was a searchlight. It was a very big searchlight.
Enormous. Like when they had to drag that shit up there, install it, and take it down.
No, it was already in the tower. It was already in the tower.
I mean, like, they had 5 days.
But couldn't somebody go to the tower and look at this particular light that's supposedly, part of the structure, and then, find out what magnification purposes it has, or the ability,
done it.
How far it's going to be shooting?
Reenact.
Yeah,
this.
that's the thing.
Nobody's done it.
It should be easy to do.
Should be.
Like they're probably, in fact, you can probably find an old one somewhere circa the same time period, somewhere. I doubt they're all gone. And even if you have to use modern technology, you can limit it to the capacities of, 1970s technology that was common at the time. We should very, very easily, this is not like launching a rocket to the moon. If Travis Walton and 2 of his knucklehead friends did this, with no real training in the 70s, this can be much more easily done now. And proven definitively that this is what happened, or proven definitively that it did, very, very easily. At the end of the day, that's probably what's going to need to happen.
What someone's going to have to try and recreate.
Find a tower somewhere, matching the description, and seeing if that, could really, it just doesn't make any sense. It's
the problem with that, Oz. The problem with that, though, is they would have to recreate that only using 1975
70s.
technology.
Yes, exactly. But somebody must have that. There must be, a watchtower spot. Like, dude, they had a lot of those. Those must have been common. They're somewhere in a pawn shop. Assuming they're not still being used somewhere.
Could be in a museum.
I see another road trip coming on with Third Phase. I think you boys could actually go out and try and do this.
That's not a joke.
You see, I would finally watch
that
an
would be
episode
great.
of Third Phase. If you guys could
awesome.
rig that system and prove or disprove.
That would be an insanely good video.
I think I'm on it. I'm gonna see if I can. Good idea.
Dude, see if you could crowdfund to get some type of like people would pay to try to do that experiment. It shouldn't be that expensive.
It shouldn't be.
Let's do it, Rich.
The most expensive thing might be the plane ticket.
It has to be 1975 technology. That's the rule.
Yes, to do it perfectly. Yes, and see if you can find some old timers that used to work on those things. See if they'll help you out.
And also
guy.
you would have to dress in 1970s gear. And I want to see 1970s mustaches. I want you guys, all of you, especially Blake and Brent, to look like them.
Tom Selleck.
That'd be awesome. That'd be so cool.
Wait, there's only one guy with a mustache, so we're gonna be fighting over that. Me and Rich, anyway.
Bell bottoms and perms.
I lived through it once.
I've got a feeling this is going to happen.
It might happen, actually.
That
It might happen.
That
That-
would be fantastic, man.
That
Why not?
I
Michael?
want
That is
credit.
seriously
I
a
want
good
to be
thing.
credited. I said
Yeah, it really
reenactment.
is. There'd be a
Well,
different
well, you-
angle than anyone's really covered, in way of
Yeah.
documentation on this story. Boots on the ground, right?
Listen, dude,
Yeah.
dude, when in doubt, be scientific. Repeat the experiment.
Yep.
Just remember, little old me, that just plunge that idea into your head.
Yeah, me.
I was already thinking about it.
I think all the cogs were turning then.
Yeah, they were all turning.
It's all right. Me and Lee are going to reenact Rendlesham Forest.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
How cool would that be?
There we go. We put that together. It'd be a great
Are you allowed
documentary,
around there? At all? Isn't that still like, fenced off?
It's still
Yeah,
a military base.
Penniston's
What
still
could
alive.
go wrong?
Yeah.
Jim
So
Penniston.
I'm gonna have Ghost Tech Paranormal that try to get into the base on and yeah, it is all fenced off, but the actual place has a, whether it is the place or not, I don't know. That's the so-called is the place. They have a kind of this monument there with the symbols on. It's all been graffitied up now. If I go out there, I'm going to clean it. Out of respect, I'm going to give it a little polish. But yeah,
Then you can clean the monument.
The Rendlesham Forest is interesting because it's a military story, but I don't know how much I believe military stories these days.
Oh, jeez. With all
You
my
know?
heart.
And it was when I was born. It was actually in the month that I was born as well, December 1980. Maybe that's when I landed.
It might be. Or, that was when you were born? Well, it would have happened 9
an
months
alien,
before that.
An alien. I'm sorry if you're watching this, mother. An alien stuffed me inside my mother's vagine.
Vagine?
Vagine. Yeah. I have a tagine. I cook with it all the time. Have you ever heard of a tagine? Have you ever heard of a tagine? It's funny enough. My mother bought me it. Yeah, it's a beautiful cooking utensil. It's like a big pot thing with a big funnel on it. You put meat and all sorts in it. Great stuff.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, beautiful. But enough of my mother's tagine.
Hey.
This needs to happen. This needs to be recreated. And if this can get pulled off, then I don't know. I might believe it. I might believe you, Mike. But that.
There's only one way to really listen. The only way to know is to check.
Mm-hmm.
Got to go
At
there
the end of the
yourself
day,
with all
man,
this information behind you. Yep.
You would have to reenact it properly though. Someone would have to get out. It'd have to be at night. You'd
have to find a tower similar construction.
You would have
Similar
to
the
place,
same
maybe
one.
keep it in Arizona.
Yeah.
You'd have to put the camera view from what the witnesses would have seen.
Yeah.
See if any of the old ones are still surviving that were circling the same era.
Well, we would go on location. So I'm sure it's still there.
Well, no. That thing probably burnt down during the fire.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
How would you
That's
get?
that's what I'm assuming.
All right.
How would you?
So you would have to find some place that would match it nearly as much. Like I said, keep it in Arizona if possible. See if you can use an older one if there's any that are still in existence, and preferably an older one that maybe has the old technology. If not, see if you can find it in a pawn shop or something. Somebody, a collector, maybe some old guy that used to work on these things. Yeah, to try to find an old guy that used to man those towers. Find out as much about those towers as they're conventionally used at that time as you can possibly can. And then work from there. If you come up with any other ideas that how they could have magnified the light or whatever, you have to make sure that it's all, technology circa 1975 or before, nothing afterwards. Again, you have to do your due diligence, and you're going to have to do it a couple times probably to make sure. But
See,
but that's science.
I can't work out if the subscriber Mike wants to come on the show or if he wants me to get Mike Rogers on the show. Rich, should we have a race to see who can get Mike Rogers on a show? I'm sure you'll beat me. Get Mike. You need to get Mike Rogers on GUFON.
The funny thing is, I could have had him on.
Well, get him on.
No, this was months ago, and he was being a dick about it. It was really weird. Like, there was all these things I couldn't ask or say, and I'm like, forget it. Hey, well, I'm giving you an interview. You know, I could hear him in the background. And I'm like, nope, not doing it. That's okay. He wasn't very nice. So it never happened.
Okay, then there's something.
Go ahead and get him on, man.
Then there's something to be concerned about, you know.
But that was almost a year ago. So, see, before he concocted this story, you should get him on.
Well, actually, Travis
apparently, Carol Ann just said here, I know I don't pay a lot of attention to the chat room, guys. It's not because I don't love you, because I love you very much. But I'll say it once, I'll say it again. I'm dyslexic. But I was born that way. I'll certainly die that way. But Carol Ann says here that Mike Rogers is in the bathroom, chat room.
Is it?
Sorry, dyslexia. Yeah, apparently. Is it the
He's
real
in
Mike
the chat room right now?
Would the real Mike Rogers please stand up? Just
please stand up. Please stand up.
Mike, if you can hear me. I feel like I'm doing the ghost tech here. if you can hear me, Mike, show us a sign. Did anybody else notice Mike Rogers in the chat room?
No.
I didn't see him.
I saw Mimi Rogers.
I think I saw Buck Rogers.
Buck?
Somebody's. I've got this troll now that's creating a Mike Rogers.
Yes. Hey, I had a guy make up a Jeremy Lockheed Martin Corbell name yesterday.
Oh, you put Jeremy Lockheed Martin Corbell?
Yeah, because I call him Jeremy. You know how he has 4 names, so I said Jeremy Lockheed Martin Corbell. So that he showed up in my chat room. I guess that didn't land.
It did land. It definitely.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
He has 4 names. Is he rich? Does anybody know? He has 4 names. Is he rich?
Yeah, he was born rich.
Yeah, that's I understand. Yeah, because he doesn't like I don't know, like something about him reeks of a trust fund.
But I heard he was in debt for $200 grand and spent the night on John Lear's couch. Not the night, weeks on John Lear's couch.
Yeah, but there's issues with that too. There's like the Lear family says things and like they're having an issue with him. Like they're supposed to be this like. Remember initially he was supposed to be working on that big doc with John Lear. For years and years and years, and it didn't come out. Mm-hmm. And the reason why it didn't come out is because the family's having issues with him. Like there's like something that's going on with that. Like there's nobody's really saying anything, but there's like some type of commotion in Lear's camp.
Wow.
I feel if you're broke and you're living on a couch, and that couch happens to be like the family that created the Learjet, you're not as broke as some people have been.
This is true.
That's the point.
There's another one. What if one of Bob's mates says, Bob was, I know there's a few of his mates, a few people have said that he's full of shit, but
wait a second. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I think this is important. I have to.
Go on.
So I'm looking at something here, a map that Ryan Gordon put out about the Gentry Lookout Tower. What's that?
Pull it up.
It's in the video that I didn't play. That's from Erica Lukes' channel. I got it right here. Hold on. This is interesting because it changes everything. It shows that the lookout tower is only about 150 feet away from the truck and basically near Travis. You got it? I got it up here for you.
I got it. Thank you, Elena. But Elena's saying that Who's this? Who's that guy?
Have you
Orion?
seen? Yeah, that's Orion Adventures comment. Yeah. That's the one who I played the clip from the phone call. That was his video that he had Ryan Gordon on. He wants to come on.
Oh,
he wants to call in and oh wow.
Oh, do you have you got his contact details?
Oh,
Rich?
it is Ryan Gordon. Ryan Gordon wants to come into your show right now.
Oh, that's great. Do you have his thing? Thank you, Elena, for that.
Just put his link put the link to the show in the chat. But I guess he's going to answer some questions.
Oh, so you don't have his personal to put the link in?
Oh, I do. Yeah, I guess I could send him the link. I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
Yeah, because we may end up with like a naked man in the you know. It could happen. It could happen.
Surprise.
I haven't done it before now, so if I haven't done it, the chances are it's not going to happen.
You have to send me the link.
Okay, I'm sending you the link now, Rich.
Facebook it, and I'll send it to him. And then pull up the screen so people can see what I was talking about.
You say Facebook it?
Yeah, Messenger. Sorry. Facebook it. There it is. Did you pull up the screen to show the map that I was talking about?
There we go. I was just gonna.
You can look at it.
I'm just gonna mute it because it.
Oh wow!
All right, I'm sending Ryan. I'm sending this to you in your email.
So Ryan, if you just StreamYard has a funny one. If you just click on it, you can access it on your phone or anything that you like. And
here it is. There you go. Sorry, he knows how to work.
That changes everything, doesn't it?
Yeah. That looks really closer than 4 or 5. I think it was 4 or 5 miles from where they were working. I'm not sure anymore. It's very confusing. Because that looks like it's right on top of them.
So Ryan the guy from the film?
Yeah.
Is it Ryan from the film that's coming on? Okay.
He's looking perfect as well. They're just looking through a little bit of tree covering, so they'll be able to see the light.
I see lights in skyscrapers. Like I'm looking at them right now from my window. Like you can tell that they're far away.
Yeah, but you're not looking in complete blackness, are you? It would be so dark there.
And there isn't excitement going on of the unknown. Yeah. Oh my God!
Yeah, but that thing was supposed to be right on top of it. That's not the same.
Well, we'll hear what Ryan says.
That would be, but
Ryan will explain it.
If that's the scale, though, Travis is really tall.
We'll hear what he says.
Ryan, welcome to the show.
Hey there, guys. Thanks for having me. Sorry about the confusion trying to get me on there. Felt like I was spamming your channel a bit.
Oh no, Ryan. Before you get into this, can you just explain to the audience who you actually are?
Sure. So I started working with Travis Walton back in May of last year on doing a documentary remake of Fire in the Sky.
Right.
I'm the one that has the audio calls. Yep. You all have been playing. You've got my presentation on your screen right now.
Yep. So give us the goods, Ryan. Tell us everything you know. Don't leave any stone unturned.
If I had $1 for every time. Anyhow, I was listening to the show, and it seems like there's a lot of misunderstanding here, a lot of questions. Ollie, I did reach out to you on Facebook this morning to talk to you, but maybe you missed the message.
Sorry, mate. Yeah, I don't understand Facebook. My wife made me a Facebook account. I do have an Alien Addict account on Facebook that I never really and don't look at it that much. Every so often I'll put a link in. Sorry, man. I'll send me an email after the show. It's alienaddictuk@gmail.com. I'll bring it up now for you, and we can do some stuff. There you go, mate.
I appreciate you. So I guess after my time on Erica's show, there's been a tremendous amount of confusion about where did this take place. I heard you guys talking about shining spotlights roughly 5 miles or miles away. I'm not really sure how this came up or where that's from, but I want to be here to answer any direct questions you have, because it's me that has put out everything with the tower here.
So what about what you see here? How far was the tower when Travis got out and looked at it, at the UFO? How far away?
So I was given a walkthrough of how this went. So where you see truck parked here, this is me referencing GPS coordinates. I would use my iPhone, when I was there with the crew, and said this is where we stopped. This was roughly the view through the trees. It was obviously a big deal not to have the stilts of the trees show, or the stilts of the tower show up there from the road. All of this was a rehearsed and choreographed event, of course, with the goal of winning the $100,000 reward from National Enquirer.
Did they get into how they rehearsed it?
Yeah, so it's not that hard of an event to pull off. I heard you guys mention that you felt that there was a lot of moving parts. In reality, the only moving part is flipping a light switch. So I felt confused with that. So I'd like to be able to clear that for you if I can.
The reason that's a confusing thing, sorry, Ali, is because I was told when Scott was telling it yesterday or the day before that if somebody got out of the truck with Travis, it would have blown the cover. So Absolutely. Is that true?
Well, absolutely. I think that's 100% the case. But I would ask you a question in reverse. If it's an issue of folks getting in and out of this old truck, why did nobody else get out of the truck in the story that the public mainly believes in, which is with a UFO? Nobody got out of the truck there either, except for Walton.
Right, but like we asked, would you get out of the truck? All of us answered, yeah, I would have got out of the truck to look at it too. So the fact
of course
nobody
you guys
got out,
are, but you also are on a UFO channel, and you're also UFO enthusiasts. These are guys that are just run of the mill, salt of the earth America. You all have an interest in.
No.
In
even
UFOs.
before, if I was 20 years old before I got into UFOs, I would have gotten out and looked at it. Probably.
I would. Me being honest, man, I would have got out and looked too. I would have been just like Travis, because let's keep it real. How many times are we going to see a UFO? I'd be right there trailing behind Travis 100%.
So that's what we mean.
But the truth is, nobody did.
Right, that's what I mean about moving parts. There's a lot of things that could go wrong for this rehearsed thing.
No, because if you look at Mike Rogers' testimony, as soon as Walton got out of the car, Rogers bailed. He took off. That's why you don't have any of the guys in testimony, whether it be in police report or anywhere else, talking about seeing the blue beam, seeing any of this. That's why Rogers has clarified himself multiple times. There's nobody on that crew that's even a witness to this alleged abduction.
Okay,
they weren't there long enough.
So Ryan, you're saying that the crew didn't actually see Travis hit the ground and didn't see the beam?
No, that's in the movie, man.
See, everybody this is where a lot of confusion comes from.
Absolutely.
So hold on. Wait a minute. So he was just standing there, and they had the light on him, and then they just drove off without him.
Have you ever read the report on this? Have you ever looked at any of the police reports?
No.
All right, well, if you had, then yes, you would see that nobody was there long enough to know any of this stuff. They say that it was roughly 15 seconds in total between Travis opening the door and taking off.
And how long was the light on?
Sorry?
How long was the light on? Like when the beam of light hit him? It was the impetus of them running, or at least that's the story.
So when Mike Rogers, his most recent interview was with Erica on her show Friday before last, and she asked him that question, and Mike's response was that he had a premonition that something bad was going to happen, and so in order to protect the guys, he took off.
Okay.
There is no testimony at all, whether you look at the reports from APRO or look at the reports from Ground Saucer Watch, of these guys ever seeing a blue beam of light. They do claim to have seen a UFO. That was one question that was in this polygraph test that was issued by Sheriff excuse me, not Sheriff Gillespie, but Cy Gilson, the polygraph for the state of Arizona. But no, there is nobody on record with any report, the early reports, whether again through Ground Saucer Watch or APRO, of them seeing this. And Mike again clarified that there on your on Erica's show.
So
in respect to that tower, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, Mike. Go, Mike.
I was just going to say, in respect to the tower and the way that everything's sort of laid out, on the table right now, and the theory that this was all hoaxed, why wasn't the area more thoroughly investigated at the time? Why didn't somebody, take this into account, saying, hey, there's this structure here, it's well lit? Do you have any ideas as to why they didn't follow up on that?
Yeah, sure do. So there's multiple ways in and out of that area. I think it's really important to backstep your question just a little bit, if that'd be all right. This was the first night that these guys had ever worked this late. This is through testimony of Steve Pierce. Y'all also read Steve Pierce's testimony a little bit ago about Travis not being there that day, Mike Rogers not being there that day. Anyhow, it was also the first day that I ever worked that late. The reason why is if you look at the contract that they were offered by the Forest Service, the contracting official, as part of the police report, says that the guys were 30% of the job had been completed, but 80% of it, or 80% of time had passed. Ideally, those numbers should match for any job. And so they were running severely behind. The morale of the crew is low. This is the first night they worked that late. As part of my presentation, I showed different routes to this area on Google Maps. The typical way to go to work is a 100% legitimate off-road trail. It's not graded by the Forest Service. It's rocky, it's bumpy. It's a high clearance road. That road is called Black Canyon Road and goes from Heber, Arizona up to this work site called Turkey Springs. That was the typical way of going to work, but it's bouncy. It's a hassle with a lot of guys. So it's on record that night they decided to go a different way home to get home faster. And it was the first time they had ever gone that way. And this road is called Rim Road, Highway 300 Rim Road. And I'd like for all to really remember that, Highway 300 or Rim Road, because that is where the police reports are filed that this took place, not in Turkey Springs. The newspaper articles from that time period in the big headline says UFO hovering over Rim Road. This is, please pay attention to that because it's pertinent to where this took place. There's a lot of confusion of, these are guys out in the woods. How could people be so stupid not to see a light tower? These guys work up there. How could they not see something like this before? Right? That feels like a valid question that somebody could ask me, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So these were questions I had as well. I want to be really clear. I'm not going to answer too much into this question, but this was shown to me. This is not something that I came up with during production. Anyhow,
Ryan, just so you know, I don't know if you're on a computer, but you're welcome to share anything on here. If you press share screen, you want to show
I'm
any.
I'm on my iPhone at the moment.
Okay, no worries, bro.
Yeah, I'm on my iPhone. But anyhow, going to this screenshot that you guys have here of my presentation, and I have aerial footage that I've shown here on Erica's show that shows this from a ground-based view, shows it from the air. This is an aerial shot. So when the truck is parked there, and you read the description in the book of how far away and everything else, it matches up here directly. And I've showed this exact thing in video. That when the truck is parked there, you can't tell that's a lookout tower at all. So when somebody gets out of the truck and is running literally up to something lit up that's hovering above a tree line. People are not used to seeing anything hovering above the tree line. It's a stationary object at all that has lights on it. It's really, this happened to me when I was up there. I thought that I had seen a UFO myself. It's wild. So when you're running up through when you're parked there, deliberately parked at one area, and you're looking through the window, also want to be really clear that it's only the guys on the right-hand side of the vehicle that said that they saw this, because you can't see from the other side of the truck unless you could see through the roof. So let's keep that in mind as well. They're all crammed in this truck. All of these Forest Service towers have a 100,000 lumen carbide lamp on them. Are you familiar with carbide lamps?
No.
Yes.
I'm not. No.
Carbide lamps are the same lamps that are used in lighthouses. They're quite bright, and they're meant for signaling. They're also on a telescoping feature. They can go up, down, rotate 360 degrees, whatever is necessary. They also had 3 lenses that went over the front, just very basic. Keep in mind, this is only 1970. Red, green, and blue. So, and these lights are affixed to the outside railing of the light tower. So, in terms of moving parts, you have to stop the truck at a location. That's Mike's only job. Travis runs out. That's his only job. And you have Dwayne's friend, which I think you guys have heard the recording now that Dwayne helped with this, per Mike Rogers. His friend up in the light tower that just flips a switch on this carbide lamp, and you're done. And Mike Rogers takes off. That's all. I don't think that's a lot of moving parts, flipping light switches.
It's a lot of moving parts. I think it is. Everything would have to work.
What moving part do you see, man? Flipping a light switch?
Well, for them to get the light to hit Travis the way it did, everything had to be...
Why does it have to hit Travis the way that it did? Because there was nobody that saw that thing exact, man. Look how far away they are.
Because they don't know. I mean, they wanted it to make it look as... I'm just saying, I'm just throwing it out there. It's, you know...
Well, I'd be happy to discuss it. I've been there. I've walked through this many times.
Right, but you weren't able to turn the light on and see if that even could be a possibility. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things we can't do anymore. I'm sorry, Osvaldo, I was talking.
Are you saying that I haven't done that?
No, I'm saying you can't. That's the whole thing. It's different. Wasn't
there
a fire?
Why haven't I?
All right, you seem to be getting defensive. I'm just asking questions, Ryan.
I'm confused at why the first reaction would be if you saw a light, which you couldn't explain. If you're looking through a tree line, why the first thing you go to is it being a UFO? If it was just a light, you know, I can understand people thinking it was some sort of craft if they saw something crazy.
Sure.
But just a light. I mean, for instance, where I live, there's a hill you can go to where our airport is. When it's nighttime, you can see planes coming into land, and they don't appear to move because they're coming head on at you. And because they're coming head on at you, you can't see the flashing lights on them. And for all the world, it looks like a light coming towards you. But even looking at that, I don't look at that, and I wouldn't look at that and instantly think it was a UFO. I'd look at that and think, well, that's strange. What's that? And if I saw a light in a forest, I would think that's strange. What's that? But my mind wouldn't instantly go to UFO. It would go to, is that a plane that's coming towards me? Is it a helicopter? And,
absolutely.
But this is the thing about getting out to look at it. So if you don't think it's a UFO, then terror wouldn't set in, and you would all get out and look at it. So it has to be something more exceptional than just a light in the trees to keep people in the car.
Mm-hmm. That's Lee. I'm with you on that completely. And that, Ryan, I think what you've put out there is it's and what Mike has said it's making us ask this question. It's the whole reason why we're doing this video in the first place.
Right. Yeah.
But what I was talking about is, and Rich said the same, is that so we would get out of that car. We would get out of that car. But when I'm looking at these men, and they are men, you know, I know the boys back then, but
yeah,
you know, these guys go into a forest, you know, they cut down trees in the wilderness. And I know that they probably
they're
didn't
pretty
know,
rugged guys.
Yeah, they didn't know Travis for that long. But
no.
I have a big problem.
Is the tower still there today, though?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, so I have a big problem with leaving somebody.
Why leaving somebody out there on the road?
Yeah, I have a problem with that because it's something I would never do. You know, I would never leave one of even if I know if I went away on a lad's holiday and one of the boys that even if I just met them, you know, got left behind, I wouldn't.
All right,
leave
so
them.
so let me if I can explain that back to you. So you're correct that the guys really didn't know each other all that well, with the exception of Mike Rogers.
Yeah.
And knowing Travis. Travis is dating Mike's sister named Dana. And a couple of years prior to that, if you're interested in character profiling this group, I suppose, or these guys here, it was Travis Walton and Mike Rogers' older brother that stole a checkbook, a company checkbook, and tried to run off to Florida together. They committed burglary and all these other things. So this family was already pretty well connected. Let's also keep in mind that there's $100,000 reward for the best UFO story. So let's keep that in context for some motive here. In terms of leaving people there, Travis was left there regardless if it's Gentry Tower or a UFO from the Pleiades.
Is the tower still there today? Do you know?
Yeah, I was just there. Yes, it's still there. That picture that you have there on your screen is not more than like 2 months old.
Oh,
but that is the
cool.
original.
Now the reason I'm asking is because it was. Yeah.
It has the tower has it's all barbed wired off at the bottom, so you can't get up to it anymore, which is pretty unfortunate. But the Forest Service does have a volunteer program. If anybody would be interested in applying, where you can volunteer in the tower, then of course you'd have access to the light and recreating the whole thing if that's something you'd be interested in. I'm not sure how the Forest Service would like that, but
Ryan, Michael, my question there with them leaving him, that definitely happened. He got left, but
yeah,
I just.
People have been giving Rogers
I think
a lot of crap.
it had to have been so scary for them to actually leave that guy. So what I'm thinking
scary
there
for whom? Can you help me to understand scary for whom? Because my position is that Mike Rogers and Travis Walton are in on this together.
Right.
It's the two of them versus the 5 witnesses.
But that's not what he said in that interview. He said
whom?
That Mike Rogers. He said that. Stop me if I'm wrong here. I may be wrong, but he said that Travis's brother was in on it also, possibly.
That's correct. Yeah, with the tower. That's correct.
But Mike didn't make out in there that he said that they were going to set up this fake UFO, but he didn't say unless I'm missing a bit there that's being played on this show. He did not say that he was told to stop there, then drive off.
Are you talking about the phone call where he's speaking to me? About his confession?
Yes.
Okay. So that came about 1 week into Mike knowing me. That was also the first time that Mike had ever talked about something like that. So when he's speaking to me, you're going to hear him with a slow cadence. He's being very careful with what he's telling me because he knows as part of production that all calls are recorded. So he's being careful with what he says. He also doesn't know what I know or what I don't. So how the call goes, and I can't say it verbatim, but he starts with sourcing a memory about some chainsaws on a stump, and for me that was curious. But the more I would get to know Mike, I would see that he recalls a lot of things through memory, through visual memory. But he says that he remembers the chainsaw on a stump, and that he and Travis were discussing a UFO hoax, how to create a UFO hoax.
Yep, that's
Then
what we
Mike,
heard.
yep, and it's them together, and then he's explaining to me about the getting out of the car was a very staged and deliberate act. This was how I interpret that. It's a planned, it's a rehearsed, it's an orchestrated thing. Then he says something to the effect, the UFO was there, but it didn't look real. And it's going back and forth here. So for me, I paused the conversation at that point, and I'm asking him to confirm to me that he and Travis hoaxed the event, to which he answers in the affirmative that he had hoaxed it. But how I interpreted the next part with Dwayne is Mike didn't want all of the attention on him, and he had to bring somebody else in it as well, Dwayne. That's how I interpreted it. Like, it's like a little kid that got caught in a cookie jar saying, well, Dwayne helped too. That's how I heard it.
But has Mike said that he was told to stop there, and he was told to drive off and leave? Has he actually come out and said that, or has he just said that he had heard that they were going to do a UFO hoax and they saw something, Travis got out, and then he just decided to drive off? Because I've not heard him say, I was told to drive off.
That's correct. There is no public. I have not released that to the public, and I won't, because I'm already going a bit too far with it as is. But
is this something that he may have said to you and you are going to release?
But so what happened is, after that call, you're seeing that Mike wants me to take him to dinner. So we go out to dinner the next day, which is the 1st of May. So not that long ago. And after dinner, we go directly to Gentry Lookout Tower, where he is giving me a firsthand walkthrough of how this all transpired. That's how I know where the truck stopped. That's how I know all of this, is because I sat there with him as he explained it all to me.
Yeah. At any point, Ryan, did you have the idea or get the inclination that possibly Mike might be contriving some of this out of spite for a ruined friendship? Did you ever get that impression at all? You did?
Yes. Anybody who is aware of their situation or follows Mike on Facebook, you'll see that there is like Jerry Springer level drama between them consistently. A lot of name calling, a lot of threats of lawsuits, a lot of things dealing with money, with sales of the book. It's pretty bad. This is also not the first time that Mike has come out and talked about the event being a hoax. He had also placed that on his Facebook, that Travis Walton is a big UFO hoaxer, and that he knows that for fact.
So where does that come into your interpretation of what he's telling you? Does it play a part?
I think that, I'm trying to be really careful how I word this here. It would definitely play a part if the only person that I had heard that from was Mike Rogers.
Okay.
Rich,
okay. If Mike Rogers was my only contact with this, then I don't know that would have been a credible source. Some people listen to the way Mike interacts with me as perhaps in a very respectful way, because I really don't like the way that people called him out on Peter Robbins' show and tried to diagnose him with all these mental illnesses. That was inappropriate. But somewhere in between that, I guess, would be my answer. I'm trying to be a little more respectful, I guess.
Well, can you tell us just the number of other people that may have given you the same narrative? Sorry, Ollie.
No, I'm
Not
just going to
necessarily
say
the players.
quickly, because I've just noticed that, Rich, what time does your show start?
20 minutes.
Oh, that's right.
In 20 minutes. Okay, Rich, if you need to disappear, I will make sure this show ends before 20 minutes, and you can follow up on GUFON Radio. So make sure you go subscribe to Rich Giordano, GUFON Radio. It's in the description. This show will end before your show starts, Rich. I'll make sure of that.
That's fine.
But yeah, if you need to shoot off at any point, then that's absolutely fine.
All right.
But DarkHour.
So my only clients as part of this production were Travis Walton and Mike Rogers.
Okay. All right. Very curious.
So Ryan, you've spoke with Travis then.
I worked with Travis on a remake documentary style of his film starting in May of 2020, which Travis has verified publicly many times.
Okay, so me and Osvaldo was talking earlier about a possible phone call. Is this you? The possible that Travis denied knowing you?
He did.
It is you.
Travis did post on his Facebook that he didn't know who I was. I did call him the very next day, which I've made this call public, by the way. I called him the next day and asked him why he had done that, among many other things that he and I would talk about. But in context of him not knowing me, he told me that somebody else had been using his phone, which I don't know about that, but that is what he says on the call, which everybody can hear. Said he had help with making those messages, but you hear me thank him for the opportunity to work with him. It's a very good call. He says he looks forward to seeing me again, shake my hand. It's very bizarre.
So you're a film creator, and you've been working on possibly making a documentary on the Travis Walton case. So when you first got involved in this, you was just wanting to do this because you were intrigued in the case and not because of you had your suspicions about the case. Am I right by saying that?
No, absolutely. I want to be really clear that this story was one that I have looked up to in ufology for quite some time. I thought that it's I would have the same things that other people would say, the witnesses, the polygraph, all these things for sure. But
so you were a fan of the story.
Absolutely. I started this entire thing for a remake of the film Fire in the Sky, but documentary style.
Can I ask what is going to happen now with the work that you've done? Are you going to still release a documentary, or
no? So I wouldn't be able to do that without obviously having Travis's support and compensation. I can't go out and release footage that he wouldn't be compensated for. That's just wrong, and I'd probably get sued too.
So there is a lot of footage.
A tremendous amount.
Have you practically done the entire documentary then?
No, I would say that it's probably at least 65% done. Again, we're working on it since May of 2020.
But there is a phone call of Travis where you call him and he makes out that this is what I've heard, that he makes out that he doesn't know you. Not
on the phone call. No. No, there was posts on his Facebook that he didn't know
that's
me.
Where the confusion is coming in.
And I saw those, and I called him to ask what's going on. Why are you saying that?
What did he say?
Again, I can. You guys want to play the call? I can get it for you. It's just like it's on my YouTube channel, the same one that has the same channel with the call with Mike. Or I can send an email to Rich if that'd be okay.
I can get the link real quick.
If you wouldn't mind, Rich, before your show starts, that'd be great. It'd be a good ending to the show. I don't want to run over time though. I want to end before your show starts.
Don't worry about it. It's cool. It's Orion Adventures, right?
Yeah. All right. Here comes the link right here.
Oh, you're sending it. All right. That's easier. Thanks.
This is a 10-minute call, to be clear. We're talking about lots of different things.
Here it is. All right. Let me pull it up and bring it on over. Oh, wow. All right. Here we go. And I'm
We'll
going to bring
probably
it
have
up to you, Ollie, in 5.
We'll probably
Hey,
have to
Zen-
all go on mute because there'll be an echo.
Yep.
To stream, yeah. But have we got it yet?
Yep. Zen Master Me with a 99-cent super
So
sticker.
to be
we go.
clear with this call,
thank you,
this is
Rich.
just a
Thank you, Zen
friendly call.
Pardon?
I said, so the backstory to this is me just calling him this very friendly call.
Okay.
We're not talking about gentry or anything. I don't want anybody to have false expectation.
All right, here we go. What's that, Ollie? You want to say something real quick?
No.
Okay.
Hello. Hey, Travis, it's Ryan Gordon. I'm hoping that we can talk here for a second. Would that be okay? Hey, I'm really hoping we can have a conversation without screaming. I mean, that would certainly be nice. I saw your comments on the Facebook last night, and I've always said publicly, and even to you, that I've always really appreciated your professionalism and the way that you and I have always interacted over the past bit. I think that you and I are on the same page here when it comes to Rogers. I will admit that everything you said to me about him, you tried to warn me. And I guess first most want to issue you an apology. You're right. I probably should have believed you quite some time ago.
Quite delusional.
He really is. I don't know. I like you and I talked about on our last phone call, where I said it felt like I was talking to a couple that was going through a divorce. What the heck? What the heck, Travis?
Well, it's embarrassing to me, but
yeah,
he is obsessed on an individual basis like that. Man.
Why though? Why? I mean,
I'm encouraged.
Yeah, but what? I mean, can we both agree that you and I have always got along pretty well? We've never had any shouting match. We've never name called. I mean, you and I have always got along fine.
Doesn't achieve anything. But in his case, he is so the way he is in so many ways, and one of them being he must be right.
Yes.
And anyone who challenges his rightness is really fucked up in a really basic way. You know?
That's the first time I've heard you swear.
Yeah, but that's the way he thinks, you know. I normally don't.
There was a post that you had made last night. Was that really you last night, by the way, typing all that stuff, or did you have somebody using your phone? Because I've never seen you angry like that before.
I was, I had some help, but yeah.
Yeah, actually did be good. Anyhow, there was a post that I do believe came from you that you were, assuming it was you typing it, where Mike had said, because I refused to answer his question, that automatically makes me guilty. And I do 100% believe you made the response saying just because somebody makes a response or does not make a response, that doesn't make them guilty. So I want to thank you for publicly trying to defend me. I guess
that's logical. I mean, you say, well, I put this out there, and if he won't answer me, then he's
right. Thank you. Right. Thank you for defending me, because that's. I mean, again, you and I have always got along just fine. So, the intent of this call is to say you were right. You were right. I was wrong.
It's not just me making these observations. It's just about everybody who knows.
Yeah. You're right on that as well. I know that the way that I met him out there at the site there at Turkey Springs was bizarre. I mean, I was out there with the film crew. He's out there with some MUFON thing, which I think I've already told you before. He shouldn't be doing that anyway. I mean, he's under contract. He can't be out filming with a competitive source, but whatever. that's what he was doing. And I have consistently said to Mike, leave Travis alone. Leave him alone. Like, what is it? He's constantly after you. He was after me for quite long, a week, 10 days or whatever.
Yeah.
But I feel your pain. I emailed you twice, I think yesterday and the day before, because do you remember the email that you sent me where you said, were you at my house at 6 a.m?
Yeah.
Remember that? Yeah. I thought, what the hell, Travis? Why are you asking me if I'm at your house?
That was a paranoid delusion that Mike said, you know.
Yeah.
And so what was Ryan Gordon being at your house is
Right.
saying?
Right.
Like, what?
So I told you, Travis, what the hell am I going to, what am I going to go to your house for? Like, I that's stupid. I'm down in the valley. I'm going to sit in front of your house. But here's the thing, Travis. I sent you an email where I said, here's the pictures that were taken that Mike had publicly posted on Facebook. I mean, talk about a low blow. Let's be real. I mean, you could probably clean up your house a bit better. Let's be real.
Well,
But
yeah,
he doesn't have to post that on.
It's a mess. It's a mess. But you know,
I know.
everybody has to ask themselves,
I know.
why is he doing this?
Well, I
What
don't
kind
know.
of a person would drive 40 miles just
Oh,
Yeah,
I thought you were saying
picture.
why was your house a mess? I have no idea, but I don't care that your house is a mess. I've been there. I don't really care.
I'm
That's not
saying,
the-
why
that's not the
is
point.
it important to him to let the world know?
Well, as we both know, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, and thank you for having a great conversation with me about this, but Mike will do anything to throw you under the bus.
Yeah.
Anything. And you and I talked about this. We talked for 2 hours, 2-3 weeks ago, whatever it was, and we were both of the same persuasion.
I don't know how much you guys want
we
to
were
hear. We just
wondering-
kind of talk about small talk. So I don't mean to interrupt, but
No,
I don't want to
have
have people get too bored.
No. I'm glad you shared that, mate.
It's
I would
amazing to
encourage
hear
everybody to go
Travis.
and listen to the rest of that. Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah, no.
the only part that's in there, it's a lot of. I was nervous calling him after seeing all this stuff on Facebook. There was a lot of posts like "Lion Ryan," bullshit, scammer, and I read it and I thought, damn. And that's you hear the call of me calling him up to figure out what's going on. I'd love to know who was using his phone. Or he said he got help, but I guess we'll never know.
Very cool, though. I mean, you were very professional in your approach all the way through. Allowing
Almost
him
comedic.
plenty-
I liked it. Almost sorry,
Almost what?
Dark. It was quite humorous. The way you spoke to him about what he'd kind of allegedly said, almost like he was playing. I liked that. Sorry, Michael.
I'm not sure what you mean.
No, I'm saying I liked the way.
Yeah. I'm just curious what you picked up on. Thank you for the compliment.
I don't know what to make of that. I really don't. And I want to come to Lee on that. But Michael, what were you about to say before I rudely interrupted?
No, I was just praising his approach and his professionalism going through, giving Travis room to kind of tread where he wanted to, giving him that open door, that opportunity, rather than jumping on it directly. It was just very well done, Ryan. Very well spoken, man.
Thanks. I like Travis quite a bit. I know that I've been painted as this villain ever since talking about Gentry, but you see Travis and I, we get along just fine. If you listen to his time on Jimmy Church, he was really respectful, never used my name. Like, you can hear we get along just fine. That phone call's not that old. And there is timestamps in there. I mentioned him. I asked him if he had seen Erica Luke's show, and he says yes. Like, that's part of it. If your viewers want to hear the rest, it's right there on my channel.
Well, Ryan, you can send me all the links over. Alien Addict. What's my email? UK. What is it? There we go. That's the one. Alien Addict UK at gmail.com. That's because somebody stole just normal Alien Addict. Bastards.
No worries.
But yeah,
at the end of the day, I think that it's really unfortunate. Like, that Travis is known as a hoaxer. I want to be really clear that I don't agree with that. at all. Even though I know all about Gentry, I know how it all happened. This was just some small town kids. I mean, to me, 22 is a kid trying to go win a big reward. These guys live in the middle of nowhere, and things just spiraled out of control. And I don't know. I don't really like the word hoax.
The reason why I was saying about Mike earlier in the car and the boys is I was trying to get out. I was trying to find out if Mike ever said to you that I was told to drove off. He doesn't like it. Why he's never said that? If he'd have said that he was in on it and he was told to drive, he just heard that there was possibly going to do a UFO hoax, but he never said.
Well,
I
let's
drove
talk about
off.
Mike for a second. It's a big deal because what would happen is after that call came out, I released it. Travis and Mike and I were collaborating on the release of that call roughly 6 weeks before it was public, by the way. Even down to sending them both the transcript of it. But Mike got a lot of flack for that call, and he would come and say that it was digitally manipulated, which you probably have all heard by now. And then, of course, he would retract that statement and say that the call was not manipulated. However, he made it a point to me, and I just to be fair, as part of your show, Mike did tell me after that call, some time had passed, but that's all right, that he retracts everything he told me. So I do want to say that as part of the show, that Mike has since retracted everything you hear in that audio.
So Mike has now said everything that he said about Travis
is false.
Okay.
And now Mike is back in the public stories, everybody you know, or as the stories you know, excuse me. And he again, he retracts everything he said in that call.
Pardon my French, mate, but this case is a fucking minefield.
It's truly.
I can say that.
Truly.
Watch where you step.
So Mike was on Erica's show, and Erica, she did a great job. And he said, I don't know, at least 3 times that he 100% stands by the story, that it was 100% real as told, and retracts the information in that call.
But you believe Mike's sort of hoax testimony then?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I hear the retraction. I'll acknowledge his retraction like I just did with you guys here. But it's one thing for you guys to hear what was on the call, but it's another of being taken up to the site and shown things.
Yeah. Because he does, on that call, he does sound disingenuous. You know, the way he rolls from finding an axe to hoaxing a UFO to the fact that after every sentence he says to you, he's like, okay.
Yeah.
When people do that, they're doing it to try and convince the person they're talking to and to try and convince themselves that they're telling the truth. But on the other hand of that, I don't know what to think about any of this, because I came onto this earlier today, I think, because we've spoke about Travis Walton before, and when he was on Joe Rogan, I thought he came across as just being a complete bullshitter. So
yeah, a lot of people think that.
Completely confused.
a lot of people think that. Yeah.
Lee, so Ryan.
Yeah.
I want Lee to answer you this. Lee, what did you think of that telephone call with Travis, though?
Well, I mean, that sounded genuine. That's that was just a phone call between people, wasn't it?
It also sounded. He sounded a bit paranoid as well.
I think if you've been in this for so long, I think you would become paranoid, because don't forget, regardless of whether what he says is true or not, he's been telling a story since the 70s that he has to convince people is real when he speaks to them about it, because it's fucking ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? Like, real or not, it's a ridiculous thing to try and tell people that you were abducted by aliens. So that's gonna make you come across that way, surely.
When I hear
Ryan,
in that phone call, that's how I'm used to hearing Travis all the time. I didn't notice anything different with his voice.
Ollie, I gotta go.
no worries, Rich. Rich, we're wrapping this up anyway. So, Rich, you head on out, mate, and good luck tonight.
Right, thanks,
show.
guys.
What's the show about?
It's about part of it's about Mars, if we can survive there, and another part is are the UFOs, especially this recent UFO, alive? Can they be living organisms? And show some videos.
Beautiful, mate.
Stuff like that.
Heading over to GUFON Radio, people. The channel is in the description. Most of them are GUFOnians in this chat anyway, so there you go.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
No worries, and thanks for joining us tonight, Rich.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Ryan. You guys take care.
Yeah.
We'll see you soon, Rich.
All right, see you.
So,
did you
boys,
guys want to continue chatting here? Did you guys have any questions?
I would love to carry on chatting, but Rich is about to start his show, and I've got to have respect for the GUFOns, and make sure that he's going to get the people over to his channel. But yeah. Ryan, I would definitely want to get you on again. And maybe
I'm really apprehensive about continuing to go through the UFO circuit, because I don't want my message to come across as I'm trying to disparage a client or receive any sort of fame or something from this. I don't want that at all.
Yeah, no, I get it. No, mate, you come across very, very genuine to me, and I think
I do have a weakness when people tell me what I have and haven't done, which I suppose maybe I lost my patience there with Rich for a second. That is a weakness of mine, of people telling me where I have and haven't been, or what I have and have not done. So I apologize for that.
Hey, if you've got a profession, and somebody says you've not done this, you've not done that, or somebody questions something, but if you've actually been there, done that, whatever, you're going to get a little bit pissed off about it.
I think he mentioned that on there a little bit ago. I apologize if that was inappropriate.
So I think some of the viewers might be confused about this, because I'm still confused about, but where does your heart, before you go, where does it lie in this, Ryan, when it comes to this?
I feel really disappointed, because I wanted this story to be real, and I feel let down. But it's either way around it. It's still a really great story, and I maybe shocked. Maybe I'm not sure what the proper word is, but I'd be happy to talk with you privately, Ollie. I'm sure I could be a lot more open, but I'm parsing my words, because I know that this is recorded.
Yeah, I understand you've got a career to think about, and you don't want to. I get that. I get that. But no, mate, I really appreciate you coming on. Send me your details across on an email, and I'll definitely speak in private. But you're welcome on the channel as well, anytime.
Thanks. Let me just clear up one thing that's been going around, if that's okay. I want to make it really clear that I'm not sure where this theory came from, that you could see gentry from Turkey Springs. That's really, I don't know who started that, if that came from another podcast, or I have no idea, but that is not the case. I want to be really clear. You cannot. It's 5 miles away. It's in forest of hilly terrain and up and down. Like, I'm not sure who came up with that.
Yeah. No, mate. You got to clear these things up, and I appreciate that work anyway. I appreciate you sharing that with us tonight. It's interesting.
Yeah,
definitely.
I appreciate you, Ryan.
Yeah, of course.
And definitely a good end to the show. So Ryan, I appreciate you. And your Ryan, your channel is.
Oh, you know, I've only had drone videos on my channel prior to all of this.
Mate, people that love UFOs love drones because half of the time they're looking at drones.
Gosh, I think that's probably true. The last video that I uploaded was a couple of years ago. I haven't used my channel in forever.
Well, anyway,
but it's
mate,
there. It's Orion Adventures. It's
mate,
there.
There you go. Start giving us some more drone footage. But no, I look forward to having a conversation with you, and you can tell me all about your work as well.
Yeah, I have a funny story where I thought that we saw a UFO, all of us out during production too. I can tell you that story sometime.
I'm always up for a good UFO story.
It was a drone, to your point, but yeah,
always drone or balloon, drone or balloon. Ryan, thank you so much for joining us. DarkHour, my friend. When you next uploading?
That depends on how much I get done over the next day and a half here. I've got quite a few things on the table that I've needed to attend to over the last week of work, being out in California with Third Phase of Moon and GUFON, which I did my own work there, but there are a couple of things that have backed up that I'm jumping into now. Regardless, you'll at least see an interview next week. I would say at least, because again, some of these productions I'm trying to put together. Let's see how things roll. But yeah, that's what I can say for the moment over at DarkHour Paranormal.
Awesome stuff. And Osvaldo Franco in the house again. My beautiful man. He's had a nice haircut. When's the channel getting launched? Come on.
Next couple of days. The Disclosure
couple of days. I'm going to hold you to that.
Franco. Also, I'm on Twitter at the Disclosure Revolution with Osvaldo Franco. I wanted to make one quick. I had a thought. Traditionally in trace evidence cases with UFOs, when a car is involved, the car is then magnetized. Like you take a Geiger counter or a compass even, and you run it along the side of the car, it should act like there's something going on magnetically. Travis apparently kept the car that he was in. That could quite possibly definitively decide this.
Did you say Travis Walton kept the car, the truck?
That's my understanding, is that, that they kept the truck.
No. Where you're getting that from is there was an interview done by called the Hannibal TV. It's probably the most popular. If you know anything about trucks, that's like a 1989 Ford Ranger.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not into trucks. I'm a city
guy.
guy.
No, they don't have the. And that truck belonged to Mike Rogers. Anyway, Mike Rogers would sell it later, and he bought himself a Dodge Challenger.
I wonder if there's a way of finding out what happened to that. Is it a chain of custody?
It's probably
the truck for. Are you thinking like a radiation thing or something?
Yeah, like there are anomalies with we have a bunch of UFO cases involving cars, and they're always magnetized.
Did you read the report from Ground Saucer Watch or APRO on their radiation?
No, I didn't. Again, I didn't find out anything about this, like all these updates recently, until like maybe 24 hours ago. Like everybody else.
No worries. So both agencies that did very thorough reporting on this with actual scientists scanned the entire area, and there's no radiation. This whole tree ring thing came as a result of. It's only been within like the last 10 years, but it's on record with. Again, APRO and Ground Saucer Watch, no radiation in the area.
Guys, out of respect for Rich, I need to cut this show because his show's just about to start. But Lee, when's the new channel coming out? Lee is going to be rocking out a UFO channel that we all want. What's it? Have we decided on the name?
Week. No, not yet.
No, but it's going to be a bit vaulty, yeah.
Yeah. So something will be coming out this week. There'll be something out next time on this show. Other than that, you can go and look at Musty Audio's YouTube channel for me doing funny stuff with my friend Susie.
Yeah, and getting nearly up to 2,000 views and just all dislikes.
Yeah. Germans hate you talking over Rammstein. They hate it. Jesus.
Well,
it's always the metal guys. Are we playing out with Susie's track tonight?
Do you know what, mate? We will play out, but I want to do it on a shorter show because that deserves fucking justice because that is an amazing track. So unless you want, do you think we should play it out tonight?
Yeah, well, her album literally launched an hour ago.
Okay, let's play out with it. You get it shared. Everybody, we're gonna play Lee's lovely lady, which she not Lee's lady, but Lee's good friend, lady friend. And she's launching a new album, and I have to say, it is insanely good. But boys, I will be hanging about for probably about 10 minutes after the show. If any of you want to chat, but I understand if any of you get off, don't worry about it. But Lee, get it shared. Let's get Susie on because that is one hell of a video. I'm just hoping that StreamYard shares the audio properly because the audio is shot. In fact, no. Lee, send me it. I will share it.
I'll send it to you. Yeah.
I think if I share it, the audio might be all right. We'll play out to Susie's new album. Bloody great voice, and it's a bit, you know, it's music that somebody's into UFOs will like. It's a bit weird.
I'll give you her link tree as well, and you can, and at least the the links for streaming services will be on it.
Okay, let me get that.
Anyhow, I'm going to take off. Thanks for getting me on at the last second there. I just hope I could clear up some questions. And Ollie, I sent you an email, so if you'd like to continue the conversation, you're more than welcome to email me back.
Beautiful. I will do. I won't do tonight because I'm going straight to bed because I'm going away in the morning. So, and it's early. Yeah. Thank you, Ryan. Right. How do I share this?
Fantastic show tonight, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Osvaldo does look sharp, man, huh? And maybe it's just the lighting. He looks good over there. He looks a little younger. Yeah,
I'm loving the new hair.
Using that face cream I sent you, bro. Stuff works.
Man, that halo is for my spiritual enlightenment.
It's from all the CE5 you were doing, right?
Oh yeah, you know.
Michael, if Third Phase need a singer, she's got her own band, but this lady, she's one talented lass. Right. Okay. Good night. God bless, folks. Mind the books go by. Thank you so much. And I interviewed Tyler from Secure Team. Good night.
We're still here.
Yep. Hello.
Still here. There we go. Is that full screen? That is full screen. There you go. There you go. Let's bring this up. Let's bring this baby up. Let's ramp it up. Good night. God bless. Mind the bugs. No bite. Alien Addict, DarkHour Paranormal, Must See Audio, and Osvaldo Franco with a fresh haircut. Rich that's just dropped out, and Ryan, whatever his name was, good lad that knows Travis and Mike Rogers. There you go. I'm trying to press play on actual StreamYard. What a prick. I will put this in the description, guys. Go check it out. I've been running red lights lately. Stay up thinking most nights lately. Am I really here? Am I alive? My heart heavy as a boulder. I look
Did you notice me? Am I alive? The devil might call this heaven. The stranger might call this home that I walk lost. Familiar streets I roam. The devil might call it. A stranger might call it. Familiar streets I roam. I've been running red lights lately. Stay up thinking most nights lately. Am I really here? Am I alive? I've been running red lights lately. Stay up drinking most nights makes me think. Am I really here? Am I alive? The devil might call this heaven. A stranger might call this home that I walk lost. Familiar streets I roam. I'm only human. I'd like to see you with the lights out, and I'm only human. I'd like to see you with the lights out. The devil might call this heaven, and you might call me home, but I walk lost. Familiar streets I roam. The devil might call